Hi, I'm Rex Jones. You might have seen me on InfoWars, you might have seen me on Twitter. I'm Alex's son, and yesterday I was involved in a rioting/looting incident, and I had to help put a stop to it. You don't realize how crazy this stuff is until you see it in person or until you watch someone get hurt. People are completely deranged, and they're using this, crazy people are using this as an excuse to burn civilization down. I was just buying ramen at 11 p.m. the other day, when all of a sudden, this crazy crackhead runs in, gerbilized, starts yelling, I'm protesting, starts grabbing everything he can off of the racks, and tries to break into the lottery ticket thing. Now, one of the store clerks calls the police, the other one tries to stop him. Crackhead grabs the dude by his man bun, pulls him over to the open beer thing where they keep like the Smirnoff Ice and the Four Locos, and starts beating his head into the metal side of it. I'm standing there shocked. I'm scared. I'm panicked. I don't know what to do. I froze. Next to me, there's like a 6'6", 300-pound husky white dude. He was massive. He's standing next to me, and I swear to God, he puts his hands up and he says, I don't want to get involved. So at that point, I knew I had to do something. I went over, helped the store clerk, helped him get off the store clerk, and started blasting him in the head about 8 times. I stopped. The dude stops, he stumbles back, he runs towards the door, then he runs back at me, throws a container of fruit on me, all the time screaming, yelling, I'm protesting, you're attacking me, you're assaulting me. I punch him again, I break his nose, he runs out, cops come, cops cuff him, and then immediately the dude says, I'm protesting. That man assaulted me, he points at me, and they let him go. They let him go because that's the society that we live in now, where people are let go after they assault and riot and beat up people because they're protesting. Because somehow the death of George Floyd, which I believe was wrong, somehow that justifies violent acts of hate. Nothing justifies violent acts of hate. And I, as an American citizen, have the right to defend myself against that if you attack me or you attack another human being. I'm Rex Jones from InfoWars.com.
Ben, you're too nice. I mean, the Rockefellers took over medicine, as you know, about 80 years ago. They say there's too many of us. And this whole program, I mean, this whole system is just, well, our life expectancy is going down, Ben.
We are Alex, have more doctors per capita, and we spend more money per capita on healthcare than any country in the history of the planet, and we are the sickest country in the history of the planet. Nobody notices. It's like we're in this fog, where it's like we're being hypnotized. We're in this hypnotic trance of some kind. We don't notice that we're dying on the vine. We're like a piece of fruit that's rotting on the vine.
Well, I hope people just take the challenge. I hope they get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the EFAs, the Polymers Plus, the Longevity Osteo FX Plus, all discounted right now at InfoWarsHealth.com, and your purchase there also supports what we're doing. Every few months, I like to have Ben Fuchs, the pharmacist, or a medical doctor on, or some of the other people, because I mean, I have medical doctors on who aren't, I'm not even involved with, and they say the same thing. And then I'm listening to the show yesterday on one of our local affiliates, and they've got people on and pharmacists and experts saying the same thing, and CBN's saying it. I think that's the good news, Ben Fuchs, is that this stuff that I never used to hear about is now I'm hearing about it all over the place. Are you starting to see an awakening as well?
Well, you got to be careful because there's wolves everywhere. But you know what? It's an info war, and it's a war of information. And ultimately, you can't. If people are willing to participate, you can't keep people down. That's what I believe.
Well, sure, but I mean, are you not starting to hear more and more people become aware?
More, obviously, more with the internet, with shows like yours. I mean, obviously, more and more. Dr. Wallach's message, a lot of people are catching on to Dr. Wallach's message. Dr. Wallach's been doing this for many, many years, and it's only been the last couple of years people have started to catch on to this idea, and I find that in my practice as well. More and more people are more savvy. Younger people tend to be smarter. The older folks, they're not as hip to this. The younger folks, they tend to be a little bit more savvy.
Oh, I mean, people, every time I go to a drugstore, they go, do you want a flu shot? And I'm like, they've never guessed the proper flu shot, A. B, Canadian government study doubles your chances of getting the flu. You're not supposed to give it to pregnant women, but you say, no. They're like, oh, that's not true. I've done research. They haven't. I've had like it doesn't even matter. It's just so frustrating.
You used a great word earlier. You said predatory. It's predatory, and we're prey. And you don't have to be prey. I don't believe we have to be prey, but it is a predatory kind of thing. It's definitely
it is. God bless you, pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Thank you so much. I hope everybody, look, just get coconut oil. At least do that. At least realize, ladies and gentlemen, that your brain's made out of fats. Go do the research. The statins are a death sentence, according to the medical doctors we've interviewed. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.
It's not, well...
Black helicopters coming to get me.
I'm telling you, it's bad stuff.
Moloch, the evil owl god. Black helicopters come take your woman. Take her uterus. You think it's a joke now? Just wait. Hitler was for gun control. You're for gun control, you're for Hitler. Hitler used a comb. You use a comb, you're for Hitler.
Hitler used a comb.
Preparing for a trip to the capital. Next stop, Moloch. Moloch. So, son, where has it... So, son, where has this... What is this? Fake crisis for world government? What is all this shit?
Infowars.com.
Is this real shit? Yeah, this is what we had out there. We didn't make these today. Look. Bush occult tactics. Dude, at the end of that film, I go down there with a guy dressed up like this. I go, this is George Bush. And I'm like holding this up in front of the media during the whole election crisis. Right. I was downtown. I got on the news. Wow. See, there's George Bush right there. There's my son. Imagine if you spelled... He's been working hard, and now he's the president. Imagine if you spelled occult wrong, how embarrassing that would be. Is it spelled wrong? No. It's right, but...
I once went to a...
You know, I think just... It's in your face. Nah. This, dude, this is the key. That's the key, dude. Where's the... We gotta take some pictures tomorrow. Exactly what he's doing. He worked hard for this job. It has nothing to do with me. Now, he has had some trouble because of all his brains burnt out from cocaine that he got from Dick Cheney and me, but that's my boy, George Bush, and we're just so proud of George W. He's not a junior. He's not a junior. We're going to screw you real good along, okay? Here he is over here. And that's my son right there. That's my son, George Bush. He earned it. He earned it. That's Dick Cheney. Right before his 75th. You can trust him. He's the high priest. Hey, baby. Hey, oh, yeah. Oh. You ever been fucked by a kid?
I don't want to be on camera, Larry.
Oh, yeah. Don't be afraid of George. Come on, baby. He's a gentle grandfather. I run the CIA. Come on, what's wrong? Hey, huh? What's the matter? Hey, my son's the president. What's your problem? Jesus Christ, I can't believe she's turning you away, George. Oh, yeah, baby. She's turning you down. Now, to be absolutely serious, the family's really happy about our son, George Bush. They told me I should run again, and I said, not gonna do it, not gonna do it. I'm gonna,
Wouldn't be prudent.
Wouldn't be prudent, wouldn't be reasonable. We are a laid-back family, very conservative, and, well, this, my son... You lose... This thing is fucking...
The making.
I've been cussing a lot on these tapes. Please don't
Who's the face behind George Bush?
A hot guy, you know. I mean, by hot, I'm sweating here. Come on.
I mean, okay, we know you're attracted to him. It's okay. You can come out with it.
I am. That's my boyfriend. Huh? Yeah, you can.
Glassy look.
Come on, son. You're the president. My son's been causing a lot of problems lately. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Low angle shot.
Go. Where's the hookers, Dad? Son, shut up. We got a press conference to do. Come on, Dad. I haven't done a bump since I went into the White House. Son, shut up. I told you, that's not prudent. That's not good. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Look at the world, son. It's all yours, son. It's all yours. These are constituents. Are you going to vote for my son? This is George W. Jr. Bush here.
Oh, wait.
That's reasonable. Of course, I'm the president too. I'm the senior president.
Who are you?
Joe, who are you?
Hello.
Where you guys from?
Germany? Azerbaijan.
From Germany? What are you doing here from Germany?
Exchange. I'm not German.
You guys are all from Germany?
No.
Lithuania? What are you doing here?
Exchange students.
Ah, so you didn't vote for us?
Yeah,
Not gonna do it. Not gonna talk to you if you're not here. If you can't vote for my son, George Bush. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. You know, when I ran the CIA, we killed a lot of people. I just want you to be aware of that. And my son's going to be president.
Yeah.
That's a new continent, son.
Where's my camera?
Hey, George, you're married. You got daughters. You got to be prudent with this. Get your hands off
I'm
her.
done!
Your daughters, my granddaughter's already down the road here, like a whore in the street. Take it down a notch, Pops. You need to be prudent.
What's it? Which one is it? Where's my camera? Just take both of them. Both. That one's mine too. Yeah, that's one's mine. What are you doing here?
Whatever. What are you doing here?
Over there.
Son.
Over there.
Son.
Over there.
Iranian.
Hello. I am Habib from the Assassins. We are here to stop the evil George Bush and his father before they raise Satan from the actual pit of hell. Live from the belly of the beast, it's Joe Rogan. Hardcore, in your face. Refusing to submit.
Yeah, say something like truth with no compromises. Live from the belly of the beast.
Truth with no compromises. All right.
Yeah, let's do this.
Here we go.
Do it crazy. Put on the mask. Put on the mask and peel it off.
Here we go.
Peel it off and then fucking take a drag and then go into it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Pull it off. Take a drag. And then go into it.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Tax cuts for everybody. For the children. Live from the belly of the beast, it's Joe Rogan. In your face, no compromise.
I hate in your face, dude. That's so fucking
It's old.
cliche.
I'll do it again.
Belly of the beast.
Okay, go.
Well, I know you appreciate my son, George Bush, but we sure as hell don't. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the belly of the beast, crashing through the lies and disinformation. No compromise. One day closer to victory. It's Joe Rogan, baby.
Larry, roll the tape on this one. You use doing it for my camera, okay? Just for a sound backup.
Talking to me?
Well, I told you we're live here in Austin,
Daddy,
Texas.
when do we get to kill the virgin?
Not yet. Shut up, son. I told you. Right here in Austin, Texas. Live from the belly of the beast, it's Joe Rogan, ladies and gentlemen, crashing to the lies and disinformation. This is going to be hardcore, nothing but 100% truth. I hope you can deal with it. So strap yourselves in and get ready, ladies and gentlemen. One day closer to victory. From the belly of the beast, it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the end has to say it's Joe.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. But Joe Rogan's gonna do it. All right, that screwed it up. Here I go.
4.
All right.
Say all this stuff
Rolling.
at the end, ladies and gentlemen, live from the belly of the beast, Joe Rogan.
Say it, baby, do it.
I just want everybody out there to know that my son's been the governor. He's had experience, and now he's the president. Live from Austin, Texas, ladies and gentlemen. It's hardcore, ladies and... I'm screwing up. There's people watching. Ah, son of a bitch. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm
Live
friggin'...
from Austin, Texas, the belly of the beast, ladies and gentlemen.
Just
it's
say
Joe
it,
Rogan.
do it.
Just
All
say
right.
that.
I don't need... do I need to relight this?
You don't need the damn
You don't need it. You don't need it. That's throwing you off. Say it.
Yeah, don't use a cigarette. You don't need the prop. You got the mask. It's enough of a prop.
Just do it.
Ready?
All right.
Rolling.
Well, we're here in Austin, Texas. My son, the governor, is the president now, and well, I just hope everybody enjoys 4 years of living hell. Live from Austin, Texas, right from the central Texas belly of the beast. It's hardcore information warfare in your face. No holds bar, no compromise. It's Joe Rogan live.
Baby, what?
Live from Austin, Texas. Plus, nobody will know who you are that way.
Ready? Rolling.
Live. So we do that later. I'll do it this time. Well, how do I start?
Start with
Well, what was I saying earlier?
just no hardcore, no in your face, no edgy.
He's not hardcore. He's not in your face. And he's not edgy.
All right, here we go. Ready? What did I say was good the first time?
Oh, you just made a bunch of shit up. I don't know. Just
Just be
fucking have
yourself.
All right,
it. Just fucking dance around with me and then pull your mask off and just point at the camera and go, ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
live from
All right.
Austin, Texas,
All
the
right.
belly of the beast.
Ready? Rolling.
damn it, man. Compromise, right?
Yeah.
No compromise, in your face.
Truth with no compromise.
Yeah, but no in your face.
Yeah.
Truth
Stay
with
away
no
from
compromise.
the in your face.
And no edgy.
All right, here we go.
Austin, Texas.
Here we go. You be dancing around.
Rolling.
Walking.
Okay, go ahead.
I hope you're ready, because it's no compromise, ladies and gentlemen. One day closer to victory. Live from Austin, Texas, the belly of the beast. It's Joe Rogan.
That was pretty good.
Truth with no compromises.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Rolling.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. But we're gonna do it. No compromises. Truth. All the way. 100% nuclear pump and brain damage. It's Joe Rogan live from Austin, Texas. The belly of the beast. Don't you fuck with me, you fucking Chinese people. Don't you fuck with me. Hi.
Pull it up again. Rolling. Rolling.
What the hell? Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's truth with no compromises. Fuck, I screwed up. I'll do it this time. Belly of the Beast, Joe Rogan.
Make sure I can see both of y'all's faces during the whole thing.
Live from the Belly of the Beast.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's truth with no compromises. Live from Austin, Texas, the belly of the beast. It's Joe Rogan. Yes! Yeah!
That was the best one.
Hold on, let me do it one more time. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Truth with no compromises. Live from Austin, Texas. Let me catch my breath.
Ready?
Rolling. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. The truth with no compromises. Live from Austin, Texas.
He's rolling.
Let's do it, baby. Sam Jr. God. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's truth with no compromises. Live from the belly of the beast, Austin, Texas. It's Joe Rogan.
That's pretty fucking awesome.
That was great.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah.
Those are the best takes.
That's it, dude. I think we got it.
That was good.
Look at them.
Yeah, it
Oh,
folded
yeah, get that
itself
spinning.
up.
Get this spinning. Wait.
Yeah, and we'll take that and we'll fade that right into the shadow.
Shadow.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like the frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point. Now, joining us in studio is my son, Rex Jones. He's a little bit nervous. He's done a lot, 15 or 20 video reports that he conceives, some of them himself 100%, others are 50-50, others are 60-40. But overall, these reports you're seeing are written up with Rex with a little bit of oversight by myself and Rob Dew and Josh Owens and others, and Jakari Jackson and Darren McBreen and Leanne McAdoo and David Knight have all taken him under their wing. And during the summer, he's here a few days a week when he's not in tennis camp or in other camps, Christian camp. And he's here with us, and he wants to be part of the info war. He likes to read adult history books. He is undoubtedly cut out for this, and I intend for him to eclipse what I've done. He's way greater person than I was at 12. And I'm not building you up, Rex. I want you to know, you're always, thank you, Dad, for letting me be on air. He has a passion for it, not as a narcissist, but as someone who wants to help people and who wants to fight tyranny. He has a sense of justice and in Christ in his heart. And I was pretty wicked when I was 12. Rex is just, I love you so much, and I didn't mean to get you up here, sweetheart, and tell people how much I love you. But you're so handsome. You're a good little knight who's going to grow up to, I know, be a great fighter against the enemy. And I just thank God every day that he's given me a son like this and 2 daughters as well. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Tell us about this report that we're about to premiere here on air.
Well, thanks, Dad. The report that we're about to roll out, the #1 environmental threat to humanity today, it's gonna be very exciting. I learned a lot when I was rolling out and doing the research for this report, and I really hope you enjoy it. But just to clarify, before we actually play the report, I'm not talking about a supernova or an asteroid hitting the Earth. I'm talking about the biggest threats that humanity has created against humans.
So we're our hope, but we're also our greatest threat. Within that paradox lies the way out of this and understanding it. And people that hate humanity, people that love to dumb people down, they have no right to be in leadership positions. And historically, they will destroy us. The type of disasters they create with the technology we now have will destroy us. And their evil confidence will be their undoing. The problem is it may be all of our undoing. So we're going to go to this report and come back with some articles where we show pharmacological crops and other things that are just really dangerous. Here is...
Hi, I'm Rex Jones, reporting for Infowars.com. I'm here at the Greenbelt in Austin, where most people here think that pollution such as littering and runoff are the 2 biggest problems in our world today. And if you look around here, that's easy to see. There are things such as empty beer cans, beer bottles, abandoned shirts, abandoned pants, styrofoam cups, all sorts of pollutants. We've picked up a little bit of garbage from our surrounding area. But this is just a small version of the landfills and dirty creeks and rivers that the government likes to paint in our head as an idea of pollution. What they're really trying to cover up is much bigger than a little landfill. In fact, it is starting to consume the whole world. What is it? You're about to find out. We've talked about garbage on the ground, but what about the garbage in our rivers and streams? This garbage is called runoff, and it drifts through our whole planet's water system of rivers, lakes, and oceans to form a giant trash continent in the Pacific Ocean, which I'm going to coin Gargia. Is Gargia the biggest threat to the environment today? I think not. But before we leave the water, let's separate the facts and myths of the Pacific Island garbage patch. First, it's not a giant island of garbage as depicted in this picture here. It's actually made up of very small and microscopic pieces of plastic that covers 5,000 square kilometers in the North Pacific Gyre, where the jet stream and southern trade winds create a giant circling region of water. Another myth is that plastic is killing animals. While it's true that plastic is being found in the stomachs of dead birds and fish, it's not yet known if the plastic is the actual cause of death. Also, small water insects, crabs, and barnacles have thrived on the particles and are now found in abundance across the ocean. In addition to being an eyesore and potentially deadly to marine life, runoff is not the biggest problem we face in our environment. Now let's take to the skies and cover a different kind of pollution. Air pollution has been with us since humans first learned how to harness fire. In 1952, pollutants from factories and home fireplaces mixed with air condensation killed at least 4,000 people in London over the course of several days. A few years earlier, in 1948, severe industrial air pollution created a deadly smog that asphyxiated 20 people in Donora, Pennsylvania, and made 7,000 more sick. Acid rain, first discovered in the 1850s, was another problem resulting from coal-powered plants. Regulations and technology have helped clean up most of these problems, so now pollution is not as much of a problem in developed first-world nations. In China and other emerging countries, air pollution is a huge problem and it's spread through the jet stream. Mercury, black carbon, dust, and ozone are just a few of the pollutants that are carried by the jet stream over the Pacific Ocean and are being dumped in the United States. Currently, China is building up to 4 dirty coal-burning power plants a month and consumes over 4 times the coal than the United States. Obama led EPA regulations that will shutter most of our coal-burning plants by 2030, so you can look forward to the higher power prices and breathing the dirty air produced by China. Another environmental danger is called CCD, or colony collapse disorder. This happens when a hive of bees is unexplainably wiped out. Nearly all CCD is being caused by either RFID radiation or Monsanto pollen that bees carry to other normal crops. Albert Einstein once said that if the bees were wiped out, all of humanity would vanish within 4 years. Recently, Harvard researchers linked pesticide use, specifically neonicotinoid insecticides, that act as nerve poisons and mimic the effects of nicotine as a major cause of colony collapse disorder. Over the last 6 years, American beekeepers have lost 30% of their hives each winter on average. And as companies like Monsanto keep producing neonicotinoid insecticides, future colony collapses are guaranteed. Now let's look at an unseen pollutant, nuclear radiation. We don't know what the exact full fallout from the nuclear bomb testing and leaks from nuclear power plants are. But the issue was brought to the forefront when the Fukushima power plant reactors melted down after a tsunami hit Japan on March 11, 2011. Since that time, countless gallons of radioactive cooling water has poured into the Pacific Ocean. Radiation spikes have been found along West Coast beaches, and there are more and more reports about massive sea life die-offs and dead zones being created in the ocean. You can't see the radiation, but the effects and the rise of cancers and birth defects in Japan is a direct result. It's disasters like Fukushima, Chernobyl, and 3 Mile Island, or a full-scale nuclear war that could potentially end all life on Earth. But it is not the biggest threat to our environment. Now that we've covered litter, runoff, CCD, particulates coming in through the jet stream, and nuclear radiation coming from places like Fukushima, I'm about to tell you what I consider the biggest threat to humanity is: GMOs. The real danger is not what is seen, but what is unseen. Not only have GMOs been linked to numerous health problems, but the pollen blow-off from Monsanto farms to other normal farms is causing unseen and unprecedented mutation within the normal biosphere. Everything that we've talked about before this, we knew the dangers and we knew how to deal with it. But with GMO crops, the answer still remains a mystery, because we don't know what's going to happen within these mutations after 3 or 4 generations have passed. Here's our friend Jeffrey Smith to talk about GMOs and their dangers.
Of all of the toxins that are released into the environment, GMOs are of a special class. You see, with genetic engineering, you have pollution of the gene pool. It's a self-propagating genetic pollution. The genes that we released in this generation already can outlast nuclear waste. They can go on forever. We have no technology to fully clean up this type of pollution. Certainly we can reduce it dramatically, but until we have some technique to identify GMOs at a distance, we are stuck with GMOs possibly forever. Imagine being hired by a company that says, we have a little problem, we'd like you to organize the recall of our salmon from the ocean. There's a company that wants to introduce genetically modified mosquitoes. Imagine trying to do a recall there. GM pollen has already contaminated the indigenous corn varieties of Mexico, and we have no technology to clean that up. What we've done is irreversible damage, and this is something that is highly irresponsible, unconscionable. And it was done over the objections of scientists, over the objections of science, a collusion between government and industry. There are 2 main reasons why people genetically modify foods. They either drink poison or produce poison. The poison drinkers are called herbicide tolerant. Most popular variety is Roundup Ready. Let me explain. Monsanto's scientists found bacteria growing in a chemical waste dump near their factory, surviving in the presence of their herbicide called Roundup. So they had the brilliant idea, let's put it in the food supply. So they took the gene from the bacterium that allowed it to survive applications of Roundup and put it into soybean, corn, cotton, canola, etc. So now you can spray the field with Roundup and it kills all of the other plant biodiversity in the field, but not the Roundup Ready soy and Roundup Ready corn. The other variety of genetically modified crops produces a poison. They take a gene from a soil bacterium that produces a natural insecticide and put it into the DNA of the plant. So every single cell of every single plant in millions of acres has its own little spray bottle that can kill an insect by destroying its digestive system. What these changes mean is that the plant might produce more allergens, more toxins, more anti-nutrients, more carcinogens, or even less of these. We don't know. It's a genetic roulette. In fact, the process of approval of these GM crops do not evaluate these type of changes. In Monsanto's own studies, which they conveniently left out of their published paper, which we were covered later, they found that in cooked GM soy, there was as much as 7 times more of a known allergen called trypsin inhibitor, and about a doubling of an anti-nutrient called soy lectin, which blocks the absorption of certain nutrients. In genetically modified corn, a gene which is normally switched off was switched on to produce an allergen, and other proteins were truncated or changed in shape, which can change a harmless protein into a potentially deadly one. In fact, when they looked at that corn variety, they found 43 different proteins that had significantly changed their levels of expression because of the genetic insertion. So these could be caught wreaking havoc with our health or the environment, but no one has evaluated them. Genetically modified foods and crops are one of the most dangerous health and environmental catastrophes we're facing. And yet very few people know about it.
Now you know why we here at InfoWars believe that GMOs are the biggest threat to our planet today. We know the true dangers of a cigarette butt left lying out unattended in a field. But do we really know the dangers of GMOs? And can we trust our government to tell us? I'm Rex Jones, reporting for Infowars.com.
Well done, my apprentice. Well, Rex Jones is here with us, and he's got some other added points because it's much worse than he was even breaking down there. And I agree with his overall analysis that GMO is the biggest threat because it's already happening. We already know it's caused a bunch of problems, and it's just getting more and more out of control. And the establishment just doesn't care, and they're already putting GMO salmon in the ocean. Obviously, nuclear war is a bigger threat by itself, but it hasn't happened yet. The establishment has shown they're just going forward with this giant mad scientist island of Dr. Moreau disaster. So, Rex, I noticed you did some research in the last few days.
Yes, sir.
And pulled up a whole bunch of news articles illustrating about pharmacological crops, Starlink, what we know is already going on. And this is just what we know, and it's off the chart insane.
Absolutely. Like, take this one article. Protogene officials may face jail/contamination, could be AIDS vaccine or blood thickener in the crop. Protogene officials may face jail time for they actually contaminated. They've been caught with contaminated crops. They almost went to jail for this a while ago because the crop was found with AIDS vaccine in it. I'm not kidding you. AIDS vaccine.
Live virus.
Live virus.
It was growing, the virus.
Absolutely.
And they planted it open air. Well, you shouldn't plant it in a, I mean, everybody knows seeds get out and pollen blows. You shouldn't plant it inside a greenhouse.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest, that's one of the biggest threats with GMO is the pollen blow off. There's like, you'd have a Monsanto farm, then you have an organic farm right next to it. Naturally, the way plants reproduce is pollen from one plant is carried by pollinators to another plant.
Or the wind.
That is a pollinator.
Absolutely.
So with that threat, it means that organic crops can be contaminated by Monsanto or other major big pharma regime crop like that very easily. And studies show that this isn't good. Like rats fed a lifetime of GMO corn. 70% of females die early, and they grow corn and they grow tumors. I don't want to look like the dude in Mad Max that has big lumps all over his body, and is completely insane. I don't think that that's a very. You're
being racist against mutations now.
I don't care. I don't want to.
And again, this is Associated Press and Reuters. This is Reuters. This particular one. Protogene officials may face jail for contamination. Could be AIDS vaccine. Let me have the other article. I'll give folks the source on that, just in case they.
This article
are doubting us. This is a Mike Adams Natural News article. New GMO study: rats fed lifetime of GM corn grow tumors. 70% of females die early, and then that links through to thegrocer.co.uk. and through the new shock government study by the government itself.
GMO is even so bad, like Taco Bell, the worst of the worst, the people that scrape grease off the bottom of the...
Well, let's not go into that. Break down the actual report on Starlink corn.
All right, so Starlink corn, a genetically modified food source, back a little while ago, they recalled almost, actually I think it was all of their corn tortillas that they sold in grocery stores as Taco Bell products because they were not approved to sell to the public.
That's right, and Starlink corn had been linked to massive health problems in animals. It was a feed corn. Oh. And they had to recall it from being fed to animals. Oh. Yeah, we're just giving you examples of what's happened in the last decade. And you have dozens more of these articles.
And then, like, another example of when big companies like Monsanto, they've made Roundup-ready corn. And
that's the New York Times. Let's get into that.
Yes, New York Times, weed killer lawn cleared is doubted. So, 30 years ago, an Environmental Protection Agency committee determined that the popular weed killer Roundup might cause cancer. 6 years
later, they knew all along and told you it was safe to drink. Tell you what, stay there. Rex Jones doing a great job. A little nervous around the dinner table. He's completely fluent, but you're doing a super good job. When we come back, we got 5 more minutes before our next guest joins us on the gun grab. If you're on Social Security and get disability money, they're coming for your guns. We've got a Daily Caller investigative journalist that broke the news joining us, so stay with us. The story's up on Infowars.com. Exclusive military recruiting centers nationwide receive threats. Armed Forces locations on alert after Chattanooga shooting. And now there's a purported bomb scare with a man saying he planted a bomb in a recruiting center in Florida. That's from News 13 Orlando. That's being added to our article on Infowars.com. Rex Jones is here with us. We're getting into weed killer, New York Times. Now they're basically admitting that back when it was approved, scientists thought it would potentially grow tumors.
Yes, sir. And another thing about this is the Roundup Ready corn, if it's basically what they did with that is they added genes so it would be more resistant and even totally tolerate Roundup. But that's not all. If these genes, if the corn can totally tolerate Roundup, that means that they can saturate an entire field with this known to cause cancer insecticide. But does that mean it's going to get into our food stuff? This is the kind of thing that rots out bugs' stomachs.
That's right, the studies on the honeybees.
Absolutely.
Well, it is getting in the food supplies. It bioaccumulates in it.
Yes, traces of this Roundup, there's not really a surefire way to get rid of 100% of pesticide. Sure, you can get rid of 80%. Sure, you can get rid of 90%. Sure, you can get rid of 95%. But what about that other 5%? This is the kind of thing that's been shown to create problems.
That's right. Now, let's go to some of the other articles you dug up. And this is stuff you went and printed off. I've seen a lot of this, but a lot of it I hadn't even seen before. What's this Harvard report?
Okay, this is actually from Harvard, one of the best colleges in this country. So study strengthens link between neonicotinoids and collapse of honeybee colonies. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. But earlier in the video, I was talking about collapse of honeybees. This stuff ties into GMO crops as well. As neonicotinoids can be put on crops that have been engineered to be more resistant to them, bees will come to these crops, try to pollinate, and then be killed or take this poison back to their hive and cause total collapse.
That's right. But who needs bees? I mean, you know, it's racist if you don't want to kill them all.
Well, Albert Einstein said that if they all died, we'd be gone in 4 years. I guess Albert Einstein's a racist.
That's right. Let's go at anybody that questions the official system is racist. Don't like death panels, you're racist. Don't turn your guns in, you're racist. Don't want Planned Parenthood to make hundreds of millions off dead babies, you're racist. Let's go through some of the other articles.
Okay, one of my final articles would be about how Monsanto likes to launch damage control over GMO cancer studies. So, biotech giant Monsanto has launched a desperate damage control effort in the aftermath of a French study, which found that rats fed on Monsanto's genetically engineered corn were far more likely to suffer tumors, organ failure, and death.
And you've just got article after article continuing on out into infinity.
Oh, absolutely. If you actually look at the dangers of GMO crops, if you look up GMO danger online, there are countless studies by well-known colleges, by well-known professors, all sorts of people. And the mainstream media likes to get into the mindset of, Oh, I'm sorry, that study was incomplete. Oh, I'm sorry, that study is irrelevant. We have these new studies done by the very people that make the crops that show the exact opposite and that they're good for you. Put 2 and 2 together, folks. If you have a shred of gray matter in your brain, connect the dots.
Well, the public has done it, so that's why they don't want us to even know if this stuff's in there and stop labeling. But when you look at the degeneration of the human brain, the body, all of this cocktail of poison is killing us. So we don't have a suicide pact with these corporations who are eugenicists and are doing this on purpose. It's like Bayer knowingly putting HIV in their factor 8 for hemophiliacs to kill them. I think his mic got turned off just now. Turn his mic back on. I'm sorry, go ahead and finish up.
Just the final thing I'd like to say before we go out to break would have to be, do your own thinking, okay? Don't watch the programs on CNN that say, oh, don't listen to them. These studies done by Monsanto.
He doesn't have a teleprompter, folks, 12 years old.
The occupational government, you are instantly arrested and sentenced on average to 30 years in prison. In some cases, reporters are simply executed or tortured. Then it came out that the Pentagon was covertly controlling almost every major newspaper in Iraq and that PR firms were writing most of the stories in the United States. But it's not just going on in Iraq. Billions and billions of dollars a year are spent paying off reporters, planting fake news stories, and producing fake newscasts. The military calls this info wars, seizing the mind of the enemy, and they are treating the American people like an enemy. When you learn that the Pentagon, the CIA, and the White House are openly engaging in military-style propaganda against the American people, then you begin to realize why large portions of the American population simply don't have their facts straight. We asked David Shaler about MI5 and MI6 connections to Al-Qaeda.
I learned of an operation in which MI6, the British External Intelligence Service, had funded Al-Qaeda to carry out an operation to try and assassinate Colonel Gaddafi of Libya. And once I'd become briefed on a plot in which MI6 was funding our terrorist enemies without government permission, I no longer wanted to be part of that setup.
We also spoke with former MI5 agent Annie Mashan, herself a whistleblower exposing MI5 and MI6 wrongdoing.
I went public in conjunction with my partner because we'd seen so many dreadful things going on and we believe that the British public deserves better protection.
My own, not as much government but intelligence services were carrying out operations in which innocent Libyans died.
David was briefed officially by MI6 officers on their attempt to assassinate Colonel Gaddafi by funding Al-Qaeda in Libya.
So I felt the need to say something about that. It took a long time to have the courage to be able to do that with the newspapers in this country, but eventually I decided that was the only way forward.
We had to leave our friends and family, we had to leave our jobs, our home, everything in London with 3 days' notice because the newspaper suddenly decided to kick into action.
I lived in exile for 3 years. In fact, when I actually tried to use a legal route to alert the British government about MI6 funding Al-Qaeda, I was the one thrown in prison.
We then tried to negotiate with the government. We tried to say, please take our evidence about the crimes we've seen. The government refused then, and to this day, 8 years on, they are still refusing to take David's evidence and my evidence about crimes committed by our intelligence agencies.
We have sources have told the press, sources in America from the State Department and the CIA have confirmed that payments were made to a group in Libya that was associated with Osama bin Laden. A document actually appeared on the internet which predates the attack and describes exactly the modus operandi, the way of carrying out the attack, the timing of the attack, the people involved, the Islamic extremists and so on, that I described when I went on the record. As a result of the attacks on 7/7, the British people seem much more complacent and will allow the state to infringe their liberties in a way that they wouldn't allow them to do otherwise.
While in London, I learned that Parliament had just passed a law that would ban any type of free speech within several miles around the British Parliament building.
Blair's approval ratings go up when there is an event. Bush's approval ratings go up when there is an event. What, quote, Muslim extremists in their right mind would carry out an operation that would empower the New World Order global empire, whose epicenter is London and New York and D.C.? Why would anybody put up with this? My friends, never give up your liberty. Stand up against tyranny. Learn the truth and find out who has the motive. Find out who has the motive to scare you into submission, to intimidate you, to bully you into accepting their wars of global war and empire and genocide.
At a time like this, I think people are prepared to give up a little bit of their liberty, aren't they? Just a bit. I mean, yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you've got nothing to hide, it's not really a problem, is it?
I think we should be just a bit further on what we've allowed here. I think we've been too democratic and we've been too soft.
What is done to people who wish to demonstrate is increasingly worrying. A lot of demonstrations, both at Genoa, at the G8 at Gleneagles, many other places around the world, there is no wish of those who demonstrate, in my view, for violence. They disagree profoundly with what their governments are doing. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong. I'm simply saying that they should have the right to do so without harassment, intimidation, or indeed being charged, attacked, and being seriously injured.
Because the only ones who are going to be allowed to have the big loudspeakers out in the public areas, just like in China, are going to be the state.
I must say one of the things that does concern me is Brian Hoare, who camped outside Parliament in the square, which actually faces the parliamentary buildings, faces the large iron gates where ministers come in and MPs go in and out. It may be ignored, he may be laughed at, he may be mocked, but at least he is able to do it, and some people may listen, and you may have more effect than we realise. Now, we call that, or at least we used to call that, free speech.
What about the Freedom Lady, the Statue of Liberty?
Well, I did hear a rumor that the Statue of Liberty has been brought in for questioning. She may be with Al-Qaeda.
You're probably right.
Freedom Doctor. 6 times they've taken me to court. Oh no, we took them to court this time, by the way. We took Mr. Charles Clark, the Home Secretary, and Mr. Ian Blair, the Commissioner of Police. I was the complainant, they were the defendants, and it was found in my favour.
It is very much of concern that we've actually got an Act of Parliament which in one of its sections is clearly designed to prevent him or people like him putting across a message which they feel passionately about and which could be heard within the confines of Parliament. I find that very worrying.
I bullhorned Parliament 3 days before the law went into effect.
George Bush carried out 9/11. Do you think some people in a cave, were able to have NORAD stand down? Do you think that people in a cave were able to have all of this happen? It's a total and complete fraud. The New World Order is using terror to scare you into submission, and they will be defeated. And here in this supposed free country where they're trying to pass a law to stop this, they're here to talk to us.
I witnessed local activists bullhorning Parliament, and the local police didn't have a problem with that. But as soon as I got on the bullhorn and began talking about pertinent issues, they became very upset and enrolled me into some type of troublemaker database.
You've got to understand that governments stand to gain from terror, to scare you into submission, to attack. Dick Cheney, in September of 2000, openly wrote a document called Rebuilding America's Defenses. And he said, we need a Pearl Harbor event. The U.S. government wants to carry out terror attacks to blame it on their enemies. 9/11 was a self-inflicted wound. 9/11 was an inside job. It was orchestrated. It was engineered by the globalists.
A few weeks after returning to the United States, I then read in the newspapers in horror that I had indeed been enrolled in a terrorist database.
The identity cards, the compulsory identity cards that have been proposed for the first time in our history, Around about 80% of the British people oppose the introduction of these cards. And it's not just cards, it's the databases that go behind that allows the state to access private information and so on. And yet as a result of 7/7, it seems that these things will be steamrolled through our parliament. Wherever we look at the moment, there are assaults on civil liberties as a result, of course, of the so-called war on terror.
Similar guidelines have been implemented inside the United States. A Virginia anti-terror training manual lists property rights activists as potential terrorists. A Texas manual lists those wearing Levi's jeans, having cell phones, and who are, quote, friendly towards the police as potential terrorists. In Arizona, they list those that make frequent references to the U.S. Constitution as potential terrorists. All of these guidelines have been produced by the federal government and distributed at the state level. The federal government itself has told police to be on the lookout for drivers who have road almanacs or driver atlases. All across the planet, governments are restricting free speech and setting up so-called free speech zones to stop their populations from demonstrating. Months later, Paul and Steve Watson came to Texas and joined me live on my radio broadcast to discuss the aftermath of the London bombings. We are joined in studio by Steve Watson and Paul Watson. Guys, you've been in the United States now for about 7 days. How have you liked it?
It's been pretty good so far. Obviously, it's all Western culture, so it's pretty similar.
When we were in London, I mean, there were so many facets to it. What was it like to have the police march up to you and tell you to turn your camera off when you were just on a public street interviewing people?
Well, I mean, the fear-mongering at the time, we were there right after the bombings, 3 weeks after the first bombings, I believe, but then there was the second failed attempt. So the state of panic was still quite high, even though Londoners basically were apathetic to the attack. They just got on with their lives. They weren't really buying the government propaganda on it.
We had case after case where we'd be out on the street doing interviews with people, and we'd be showing the video cameras, and there were people working right there at the Hard Rock Cafe. And I'm like, look at these cameras. They're everywhere. They're in plain view. And the manager comes out and goes, you know, thanks for showing me that. I've never noticed those. What's your name, sir?
Charlie.
I'm Alex. Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Alex, how you doing?
Good. What do you think of the new symbol of the United Kingdom is going to switch from the Union Jack to the black surveillance camera?
Well, you know, there's plenty going on in London, so they need the surveillance cameras everywhere.
But, I mean, it's going to be the new national symbol, or of course I'm being sarcastic, but really it has become the national symbol. 4+ million surveillance cameras in the great city of London alone.
What to say about it? You know, I don't even see them there.
You don't see them? They don't exist?
No. 4 million in the city? That's the first time I've even noticed they're there, and I've been working here a year.
Out of sight, out of mind, huh?
That's it.
That's kind of Orwellian, though. You seem like a smart guy, but did you know only the smartest people in the inner party know how to engage in doublethink and doublespeak, where you don't even notice the cameras that are there? In fact, if you say they're not there, they're not there. Here, together, let's say they don't exist.
All right, they don't exist.
2 + 2 = 5. Hey. Hey, you could get an inner party membership.
All right, I'm into it.
I mean, that was actual doublethink. Steve, Paul, you want to comment on that?
Well, let me read a quote from Orwell from 1984. Doublethink is an unending series of victories over your own memory, reality, control. To know and not to know, to be conscious of complete truthfulness while telling carefully constructed lies, to hold simultaneously two opinions which cancelled out knowing them to be completely contradictory and believing in both of them, to use logic against logic to repudiate morality while laying claim to it. And this is exactly what we saw over and over again in London.
You've got a nest of, what, 6...
I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, succubus with goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. it. Charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop and blood on it, especially up to his ankles. Trump charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop. Goblin vomit and slop. I'm not expecting him to not get dirty slop. Seeing goblins, appreciating goblins, succubus with goblins, in bed with a goblin. Kissing goblins, appreciating goblins. I just don't want to catch him in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a bed. I just don't want to catch him in bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin.
Hi, I'm Rex Jones. You might have seen me on InfoWars, you might have seen me on Twitter. I'm Alex's son, and yesterday I was involved in a rioting/looting incident, and I had to help put a stop to it. You don't realize how crazy this stuff is until you see it in person or until you watch someone get hurt. People are completely deranged, and they're using this, crazy people are using this as an excuse to burn civilization down. I was just buying ramen at 11 p.m. the other day, when all of a sudden this crazy crackhead runs in, gerbilized, starts yelling, I'm protesting, starts grabbing everything he can off of the racks and tries to break into the lottery ticket thing. Now, one of the store clerks calls the police, the other one tries to stop him. Crackhead grabs the dude by his man bun, pulls him over to the open beer thing where they keep like the Smirnoff Ice and the Four Locos, and starts beating his head into the metal side of it. I'm standing there shocked. I'm scared. I'm panicked. I don't know what to do. I froze. Next to me, there's like a 6'6", 300-pound husky white dude. He was massive. He's standing next to me, and I swear to God, he puts his hands up and he says, I don't want to get involved. So at that point, I knew I had to do something. I went over, helped the store clerk, helped him get off the store clerk, and started blasting him in the head about 8 times. I stopped. The dude stops, he stumbles back, he runs towards the door, then he runs back at me, throws a container of fruit on me, all the time screaming and yelling, I'm protesting, you're attacking me, you're assaulting me. I punch him again, I break his nose, he runs out, cops come, cops cuff him, and then immediately the dude says, I'm protesting. That man assaulted me, he points at me, and they let him go. They let him go because that's the society that we live in now, where people are let go after they assault and riot and beat up people because they're protesting. Because somehow the death of George Floyd, which I believe was wrong, somehow that justifies violent acts of hate. Nothing justifies violent acts of hate. And I, as an American citizen, have the right to defend myself against that if you attack me or you attack another human being. I'm Rex Jones from Infowars.com.
Call me the meme machine. My heart's big. It's got hot blood going through it fast. This is the InfoWar.
The New World Order isn't coming. It's here.
You get what you deserve, you cockle pieces of crap. You've been chemically hit by birth and positronically hit by the television. And that 50 Shades of Grey about the sexy rich guy that's gonna chain you up. You want some milk, Al-Qaeda? I'm not guilty, you fascist, evil slug. Who is Michelle Obama? Is she really a woman? Is she a man? She's got shoulders that are wider than a man's, which physiologically doesn't happen. Just stumbling around, projectile vomiting, falling everywhere. I don't want to swim around in your piss. I go to the bathroom to piss.
Or 7 cameras, and people are out there saying they've never noticed them. It's like it's a survival mechanism to deny reality, but at the end of the day, it's not even a survival mechanism. It's quite dangerous. We were asking the attitudes of taxi drivers about the bombings. They were all quite ambiguous. They kind of believed the government line at that point.
Do you ever wonder who's really behind it?
Well, I've heard different. There's people who think that other governments are behind it. You know, British governments, American governments. People have said that.
Oh, really? You heard that some people think it's the government?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really? How popular is that view?
Pretty unpopular, I would have thought.
It is straight out of George Orwell's 1984. This poor woman thinks that if you give up your liberty, you supposedly get freedom.
Yeah, well, we went to Stockwell Tube Station where they shot the Brazilian man. We basically noticed this woman who was working on the fruit stall. She'd been interviewed on the BBC. I'd seen her on there, so we went over to interview her. We were talking to her, and Alex asked her if she would sacrifice liberty for security. And she came back with, yes, I'll sacrifice liberty for freedom.
I think people should give up their liberty for freedom.
Liberty and freedom are the same thing. We then asked her again to clarify, just in case she made a mistake, and she said the same thing again. She was willing to give up liberty for freedom, which is really, it's direct doublethink, because the two things mean the same thing.
We found the same mindset in Crawford, Texas, outside Bush's ranch that we witnessed in England. Populations who are willfully ignorant, who revel in being lied to.
Well, we're on our way out to Crawford, where President Bush is vacationing for 5 weeks. He spent about a fourth of his time in the administration out here at his Hollywood set. Though he admittedly is afraid of horses and the cows and many other forms of wildlife, and of course he was born in Kennebunkport, Maine, and spent most of his life there, he likes to put on a cowboy hat and a big belt buckle and strut around. He meets with all these different world leaders and decides to basically how to carve up the world. He meets with the Saudi leaders and holds hands with them. He meets with Ariel Sharon. He meets with leaders from all over the world, but he certainly doesn't meet with the mothers of dead soldiers.
They don't have any skin in the game, so it's easy for them to say, let's keep our troops over there, let's complete the mission, even though we don't even know what the mission is.
That's really a theme, that we got to get them before they get us. Do you think Iraq attacked us on 9/11?
Maybe not Iraq itself, but the belief in the cause that those people have did. Yeah, absolutely.
The 15 of the 19 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. Bush is out at his ranch holding hands with the royal princes, but then we've got to go into Iraq. No, I mean, seriously, sir, it's a serious issue.
where you're going.
Where do you think we're coming from, though, sir? I mean, tell me.
You're trying to connect this, we're in bed with Saudi Arabia BS, and this is all a big farce to get Saudi oil and all that. That's not what it's about.
So our government isn't in bed with Saudi. Okay.
While in Crawford, we ran into Ray McGovern and spoke with him about Iraq. Ray McGovern is a retired, senior-level CIA analyst whose career spanned the administrations of John F. Kennedy to George H.W. Bush. His duties included chairing national intelligence estimates and preparing the president's daily brief.
I believe that they are still interested in permanent military bases there. I believe they are still interested in controlling the oil from that part of the world. And so it will be stay the course. It will be 6, 7, 8 U.S. troops killed every day or every week. And what's below the surface here was revealed to me by a very well-heeled gentleman who came up to me after a speech I made outside of Milwaukee in a very affluent suburb. He said, "Mr. McGovern, get real. I mean, what's your problem?" He said, you don't have any problem with, you don't deny that we need the oil, do you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, 6, 7, 8, 10 Marines a week for the oil, you have to admit that's a very, very cheap price for the oil." I said to him, "How do I handle this?" I said, "Well, the utilitarian argument is probably the best. I object to it," said I, "because we can't do it. There are 1.3 billion Muslims in this world. They're not going to let us do it.
It's already widening.
The borders are porous. We can't do it." Well, that didn't convince him. He said, "Well, I think we can do it." I said, "Oh, well, suppose your son was one of those 6 killed in Iraq last week." And you know what? He looked at me like it had never occurred to him. And it wouldn't have occurred to him because it wouldn't be his son, It would be the sons from the farms, it would be the sons from the cities. And so he said, "Well, I don't buy that either." So I'm trying, well, maybe I'll try a moral argument on him. I said, "Well, are you one of those that likes to have the 10 Commandments brought into the schoolhouses and the courtrooms of this?" He said, "Oh, that's a great idea." I said, "Well, if memory serves, there's one that says, 'Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's oil.' I mean goods.
Don't bear false witness."
There's one, don't forever what? There's one that says you shouldn't steal. And there's also one against killing, if I remember correctly. So maybe you want to subtract 4 and bring in the 6 commandments into the schoolhouses and the courtrooms of this world. Get real." I said, "This is a moral issue. We shouldn't be going around killing unarmed civilians and causing more violence where violence is endemic."
And what did he say, sir?
He turned on his heel, marched out to his SUV, prayed for cheap gasoline, and drove home.
I want the oil. Let's educate them, bring them in democracy, and take their oil.
Apparently somebody took too much yellow acid and got the story wrong.
The majority of the construction, and the vast majority, like I'd say 90% of the construction that I saw wasn't with the Iraqis, it was with the American bases that they were building. Concrete.
That was super powerful. Austin, what documentary is that? Because that's Ray McGovern. I didn't realize my dad talked to Ray McGovern in the early 2000s. That's really wild. But you see the crazed neocon boomers? You see how it's the same people back then that we're dealing with right now? That really is insane. Austin, we got to put that out. Like the I hate hippies shit. We're bringing them democracy and taking their oil. We got to have that. We got to put that back out because it really is the same attitude 22, 23 years later. Literally, like from the time that I didn't exist to the time now that I exist, their attitude hasn't changed and they still think they can get away with the same shit. And I'm talking, of course, about the populists. But welcome to Gray Area Talks, New American Journal. Today is a very special show. We've got George Galloway, one of the biggest radio hosts, basically all time. Of course, former MP over in the UK, politician, activist, wears many hats, but just all around like an A-tier, S-tier guy. So really looking forward to talking to him. Of course, Tim Tompkins, Truism Tim, will be joining me in studio shortly. I'm sure he's already on the way over here. Shout out to Tim if you're listening to this right now. And we got crazy news to cover. We got a ton of exciting stories you guys need to know about.
Just another recap. It's obligatory. I have to do it, or else you're just not going to know about it. Or if you weren't here yesterday, or if you didn't get the real news. The Iranians have said, as of now, they do not care about Trump. They are not negotiating with Trump. They're going to wait things out until 2029. 2029. Do we have that, Austin? Do we have that? I don't see Iran war in here. We always got to have the Iran war tab. Always got to have Iran war tab. Always. Because that's the number one most important thing going on in the world right now. Always got to have the Iran war tab ready. That's okay. I will look for it and I will find it. Give me 1 second here and I will DM it to you. Iran, USA 2029. It's all right. Yeah, just look it up. Just look up Iran war or Iran USA 2029 on Twitter. From the Hormuz letter 22 hours ago. I love the audience. They are so incredible. I love the people who show up for the morning show. And you can use code CBD and you can use code ULTRA to save 20% off on select products on 50% off and Jones CBD. Yeah, but we don't have to go to the article. You just look it up. It's fine. It is what it is. Go to the article. It's just go on X. Just go on X and type in Iran USA 2029. Just go on X and type in Iran USA 2029. Just go to the Hormuz letter. Just go to the Hormuz letter. There we go. Breaking. Iran has flatly ruled out any future negotiations with the Trump administration, declaring it will wait out Trump's term until January 2029, per an advisor to Parliament Speaker Galloway and a senior Iranian source. This is what they say. Will not hear this in Fox News, Western media. That's why I come here to get the real news. Trump will not reach an agreement with us. We will accompany him until his term ends. They're like herpes for Donald. He just can't seem to get rid of it. Majid Shakari, advisor to Parliament Speaker Galloway says, Shakari adds, the path to victory, listen to this shit, and this is what we've been predicting, by the way. The path to victory is neither fighting nor a deal. It is managing the process of neither war nor peace up to the point of victory. Publicly confirming negotiations with the U.S. is sheer folly. The winning approach is denial, ambiguity, and strategic patience. I mean, literally. Like, if Trump wants to claim that he's won the war, let him claim that he's won the war 1,000 times over as American power continues to get degraded as we continue to lose our positioning in the Middle East. And they don't care. They don't give a shit because they control the strait and they have ballistic missiles and drones and they have a 1 million-man army. And they ain't never going to suffer a ground invasion. If we did that, the only ground invasion we might do is the ground invasion on Karg or Kashim Island or to take the strait. And you're talking about losing 100,000 American soldiers that we don't even have. We don't even have the soldiers. Unless Trump accepts all of Iran's conditions in the U.S. surrender document, the Strait of Hormuz stays closed until 2029. Those demands include $300 billion in compensation, more than $100 billion in frozen assets released, lifting all sanctions, U.S. troop withdrawal from the entire region, and accepting transit fees on every ship. Transit fees went up from 1%, 7%, by the way. So, super cool. They've ruled out future negotiations. They don't care. That's your Iran war update so far for today. I wanted more on Iran war. Always, we got to have more on the Iran war, Austin. But it is what it is. Let's just go ahead and get into the Fauci news because that's what we got. Breaking, Senators Ron Johnson and Rand Paul released the first batch of texts from Dr. Anthony Fauci's government iPhone. In one January 2021 exchange, Fauci, then CDC Director Michelle Walensky, and Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, any relation to Ramaswamy, discussed COVID vaccination and pregnant women. Go ahead and play it.
Breaking right now, Republican Senators Ron Johnson and Rand Paul releasing the first batch of text messages from Dr. Anthony Fauci's government iPhone. In one exchange from January of 2021, Fauci, then CDC Director Michelle Walensky, and then Surgeon General Vivek Murthy discussed COVID vaccination and pregnant women. Fauci flags potential concern after the second dose, writing that many people experience significant cytokine storm and fever, and that this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the
All
first.
right, pause it. Ain't no theoretical. Here's a practical, my mega. Let me explain something to you. A cytokine storm is a mass inflammation response. That means giant oxidative stress. Your own cells have an autoimmune response against each other. What happens when your cells have an autoimmune response against each other? What happens when your cells have an autoimmune response against your baby? You miscarriage the child. And then the child dies. But some would say it's just a clump of cells, so why does it matter? Just take the vaccine. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci. And this is why the abortion argument to me is so ridiculous, right? Is because you'd feel heartbroken and betrayed if you had suffered a miscarriage due to some sort of like medical thing or some sort of like drug you were given that caused it, right? But then it's totally fine to flush it down the toilet if you don't want it. How does that work exactly? All right, yeah, just keep playing the video.
Walensky responds, quote, definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. A cytokine storm is essentially when the body releases too many inflammatory signals that could cause high fever, inflammation, and in extreme cases, life-threatening illness. So this is just coming to light now, Sandra, that Fauci had these concerns. And I remember when I got the boosters.
All right. We got to fix this right now, Austin. I don't know what's going on. They're saying the echo's a problem again. They're saying we got echo issues here. So we got to troubleshoot this and figure this out because we got a big interview coming up. So I don't know how we're going to cross that mountain, how we're going to get through that Underground Railroad. But we're going to do it. We're going to hit that promised land where we can broadcast. So let's figure this out today. Let's figure out what's going on. So when you guys hear me now, is there an echo? Is it fine right now or is there an echo right now? All right, so not now. But when we play the video, there's an echo. So I've got to mute myself. It doesn't work because if we have a guest on, it's just going to be echoing. So here, tell you what, remove the screens and then join me as a guest with voice only, and we're going to see if it works. We have to figure this out. I have to get it done. Yeah, I know it's fine right now. That's not the point. It's not the point, people. Let's try to figure this out right now. So we can't do this if we have George Galloway on. It's a fucking echo chamber in here. It's next level failures. So we got to figure this out. Let's try to play it again.
Breaking right now, Republican Senators Ron Johnson and Rand Paul releasing the first batch of text messages from Dr. Anthony Fauci's government iPhone. In one exchange from January of 2021, Fauci, then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, and then Surgeon General Vivek Murthy discussed COVID vaccination and pregnant women. Fauci flags a potential concern after the second dose, writing that many people experience, quote, significant cytokine storm and fever, and that this, quote, theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Walensky responds, quote, definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. A cytokine storm is essentially when the body releases too many inflammatory signals that could cause high fever, inflammation, and in extreme cases, life-threatening illness. So this is just coming to light now, Sandra, that Fauci had these concerns. And I remember when I got the boosters, I developed pericarditis, then that went away. Then when I had the second booster, it came roaring back again. So, the body reacts differently to these things depending on who you are.
Yeah, we got to test it with a guest before we have him on. We got to make sure that it's working. We got to make sure system's online. I really, really hate it when systems fail when they were working just fine a couple weeks before, and we're having audio issues. So I really don't want to hear from the everyone saying it's so good, it's fine. We need to test it. Okay, so we got to test it. We got to figure it out. Not sure how we're going to do that before he goes on, but just all right. Just go to the next clip, please. Play the next clip. Just play the next clip. Fauci privately warned of miscarriage risk linked to COVID vaccine while publicly claiming no issues. Newly released text shows. Scroll down. Dr. Anthony Fauci privately raised concerns that the COVID-19 vaccine could theoretically be linked to miscarriages in expectant mothers. Despite having publicly insisted there were no red flags for pregnant women, I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of, wrote Fauci in January of 25th, 2021 text exchange with then Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky and Surgeon General Vivek. Since many people have significant cytokine storm, that means like miscarriage factory, basically, and fever, also miscarriage factory. After the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Isn't that nice? But it's just a clump of cells, so it doesn't matter anyway. And he's your friend, right? He's there to help you. He's a public health official. Fauci, Walensky, and Murphy had been discussing whether the vaccine posed any risk to women who followed the 2-shot regimen. Scroll down, get that gambling ad off the screen, dude. Walensky responded to Fauci that the first trimester issues he raised were definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. Day later, on February 3rd, Fauci said during a question and answer live stream with the Journal of American Medical Association that the FDA found thus far, and we have to be careful, but thus far, no red flags about pregnant women. Fauci's confirmed to have lied about that. Now we have the text messages from the new iPhone. Months later, the Biden White House chief medical advisor also said tens and tens and tens of thousands of women who have been followed by the CDC who have been vaccinated when they were pregnant. There's no indication whatsoever that there's any increase of any adverse issues in a pregnant woman who's vaccinated compared to a pregnant woman who isn't vaccinated. It's pretty clear that pregnant women should get vaccinated. Yeah, that's safe. That's fun. Here, we got Tim joining the studio. Let's test the audio. Thank you, Tim. Let's test the audio. Really appreciate it. Here. All right. Is there an echo?
Testing.
Is there an echo?
Here, let me see. I can hear an echo.
Yeah, this is why I wanted to test it. This is why I was crashing out.
See if the audience.
Yeah, how are we doing? How are you doing, Tim?
Good. I'm about to drive over soon.
Sick. I'm super excited about today with George.
I am too.
Yeah, we got the echo problem.
We do. Yeah.
So what is that?
Are you sharing your system audio? That's probably
no. I don't have my. I'm not sharing my screen at all. It's all Austin.
Talking about Austin.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I put my headphones on. Yeah, better out now.
Yeah, dude. No, it literally makes me crash out so hard when it's working fine, and then it just stops working one day. You know, and it's just like, well, what happened?
Does it here? Testing. That's an echo. Toggle this. Toggle it that. Ooh, that's crazy.
Right?
Dude, that's the problem with stream.
Yeah, see, I mute myself. It's fine.
Mute yourself. Testing. Okay, yeah. There's no feedback when you're muted. Wow.
Yeah, and then, like I have echo cancellation turned on. I have everything, man. I don't get it.
Let's remove you from stage. Let's see. Testing. Okay, so it's coming from his end. Yeah, it's coming from his end. Somehow he has to not be sharing system audio. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, but I'm not sharing the system audio though. Like I'm not connected to it. Like it's Austin. It's Austin's screens. It's not my screen. So I don't know.
It's not my PC. It's definitely it's Rex's.
That's always fun.
Testing. Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do about this.
The only way I've seen that works maybe is if you leave the stage altogether and then you exit the app restart it, and then join back. The stream will still keep going. So you try that. So just like completely exit StreamYard. The stream will keep going. All right, guys.
What about now?
Testing. Oh, we're good. I don't know what you
Yeah,
just
but
did.
I switched the audio input.
You switched the audio input? Oh, well, you just muted yourself. Unmute yourself. Yeah, you gotta unmute him. Yeah, guys, we're just trying to figure this out now because you can't have this when George comes on in about an hour and a half. We'll keep going with all the news in a little bit, but this is important. All right, let me read some of the chats. It's been a minute. What is that?
I'm just trying to fix it. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, no echo right now. He said read the Bible.
No echo now?
Yeah, we're good. I don't know what you did, but did you exit that? Did you exit everything altogether?
Yeah, that's so dumb.
Yeah, it's a StreamYard thing. It's nothing that you or Austin did. All right, chat, are we good? No echo? Yeah, so that's the problem with these streaming softwares sometimes. They get really finicky.
We gotta have a custom setup in the new place, and like we're gonna be in a new studio in a couple months. We're gonna have an upgrade.
Upgrade. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm gonna head over to the studio now. So.
All right, sounds good.
See you guys shortly.
Bet. All right, well, we'll get back into the news now. Let's just keep covering this. Fauci lied, babies died. Basically, abortions people didn't know about from admitted cytokine storms due to the vaccine. Go to Fauci saying approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags. If we can get that up. Thanks, Austin.
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no.
Still got that echo, don't we, baby? Hell yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it when shit don't work. Nothing makes me happier when shit just breaks that was working fine prior. I can see the echo because I can see the mic thing. Why the hell is that happening? Yup. Why the hell is that happening? I really don't get it. I really, really don't understand. And it's not your fault, Austin. It's the computer. I don't know what we're going to do here. I don't understand how one day we can play clips just fine and then it just bricks. I just paid my accountants $4,000. And I just felt like getting punched in the nose. And now streaming just don't work. Seriously? Stream don't work? Yeah, I know it's the mixer. Thanks for the advice. I appreciate it in the chat. My mic is hooked up. My speaker's hooked up.
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say, and this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
Okay, so the audio worked there. Audio worked there for some reason. What did you change? Just text me what you changed, Austin. All right. So Fauci lied, babies died. Great. COVID stories that everyone denied for years got censored off the internet. They called you a conspiracy theorist. If you lived in places like the UK or Australia, they would put you in jail. And now it is all totally fine, liberal, and loving to understand what he truly did because he's pardoned and he can't get in trouble. So go ahead and show ex-CDC Director Rochelle Walensky saying there's no bad time for a woman to get vaccinated.
Is it safe to get vaccinated while you're breastfeeding?
It absolutely is safe to get vaccinated. So I would say if you are thinking about getting vaccinated, there is no bad time to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated while you're thinking about having a baby, before you're thinking about having a baby, while you're pregnant with your baby, or after you've delivered your baby. There is no bad time.
Yeah, those people are very sick, and they lied to you. So remember that. All right, so let's cover a rare positive for the Trump administration. A rare positive, in my view. You do have to cover the good with the bad. Trump signs an order for fewer routine childhood vaccines. So if you didn't know before, there's like 72 mandatory vaccinations they got to give the kid or whatever, including like hepatitis B, and like they're not having crazy, like insane, like orgy sex, and they're not having insane, like IV drug use. It's a freaking child. You don't need to give a child a hepatitis B vaccine. Go ahead and play the video with audio.
The number of diseases universally recommended for vaccines from 17 to 11, and establishing distinct categories of recommendations based upon the scientific evidence. Our assessment found that the United number of diseases.
All right, let's go to Trump falling asleep now.
This extremely seriously, as we have been for the last year and a half and more of the presidency. At the NIH, what we've done is we have established the Autism Data Science Initiative, which started almost a year, actually more than a year ago, where we funded a dozen and more major research teams to answer the question of what is the cause of autism. It's a complicated biological phenomenon. It's not going to be a simple answer. It will have, as the Secretary said, potentially genetic predisposition, but that cannot possibly explain why we've seen such a large rise in autism.
All right, let's go to the next one. Caroline Leavitt celebrating the win.
Today, he signed a historic executive order creating the gold standard of science childhood vaccination recommendation schedule for parents. This gives parents more choice, Sean, which is something that Maha moms like myself have been asking for our children. It's based on common sense and scientific research. Thanks to Secretary Kennedy and President Trump for finally having the courage to enact this order and now to hold states accountable to, again, give parents more choice. And then again,
yeah, it is a good thing, right? It is a good thing. I'm not going to deny that it's a good thing. I don't think there should be any mandated ones, honestly, but it is what it is. All right, go to the next one. Trump says the COVID vaccine will no longer be recommended to kids. Well, if he's the father of the vaccine, it's so incredible. Why wouldn't the kids need to take it? And the Attorney General will legally challenge any states that violate children's right to religious or medical vaccinations.
Vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no longer recommended for all children. In addition, this executive order directs the Attorney General to advance legal challenges against states that violate children's rights to religious or medical vaccination exemptions for the exemption.
Cool. All right, let's go to Trump signing that executive order, overhauling the vaccine schedule, calls for greater parental choice, separate MMR shots, more widely spaced administration, aluminum adjunct alternatives, and stronger safety monitoring. Yeah, there's aluminum and mercury in the vaccine. So this is the platform, greater parental choice and support for religious medical exemptions. States urged to reconsider school vaccine mandates. Attorney General directed to support legal challenges to restrictive state vaccine laws, splitting up MMR. What is that? Mumps, measles, and rubella. Hepatitis B, flu, COVID-19, and rotavirus moved out of universal recommendations. The flu vaccine is retarded, and now it's fully mRNA, right? So it's not even a vaccine. It applies to that new definition of the word, right? We all know how much of a scam that is. All right, let's go to the next one that we got. So yeah, so this is the big Maha win. This is the whole point of Maha. You don't get the pesticide out of your food, you don't get the poison out of your water, you don't get a clean environment, but you do get slightly or a lot less vaccines for your little kid. So that's another typical American compromise. It is what it is. I'm just remembering I forgot to do more stuff. Great. Okay, let's go to Hunter Biden now. Trump media reveals 900 million Bitcoin holdings and paid early post access. Go ahead and play it.
I mean, just take like the issue of stock trading. Okay.
Yeah.
My dad in 1972 took a vow that he would never own a stock or a bond. And he kept that vow since 1972 in over 50 years of public life. And he retired from the presidency as having probably the lowest net worth of anyone that had ever entered the presidency. And meanwhile, he got tagged with this idea that he, is the Biden crime family and that, all of that crap. But my point being is this, is that how is it that we have not been able to pass a law?
I couldn't agree more.
And I know you do agree. But how is it possible? And it's not just Republicans.
Pass a law that prohibits members of Congress.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most common sense thing in the world. And it should be in the administration too. It should be anybody with the access to the most valuable insider information of all. And meanwhile, not only are we not passing the law, Donald Trump is selling $100,000 early access to his True Social tweets, which is just a front running for insider trading, literally in the open. And that's what I mean. The quantitative, qualitative difference of Donald Trump as compared to anything I've ever experienced in politics before is the sense that the rule of law is only applies as a weapon rather than as a prophylactic for the Constitution to be able to operate in a way in which the founders envisioned it.
Yeah, so when Hunter Biden is now able to come out on Tucker Carlson and look like a saint in comparison to what Donald Trump has done with the $4 billion and, of course, the $3.2 billion to his kid. Remember Burisma oil? Remember the Hunter Biden laptop? Remember all that stuff? It all kind of pales in comparison, right? You have to be honest and objectively true. Of course, both are wrong, and Hunter Biden is wrong for being a corrupt grift lord, right? A corporate grifter, a government grifter, a family grifter. But, I mean, you can't say the Trump administration is not doing the same thing. So they've given him a leg to stand on. And if that's not our fault, that's Trump's fault. So go to the next one.
So the trust is broken because every time we ask hard questions, we keep learning uncomfortable truths. The president is literally selling direct access to early word of his major policy decisions when he's selling access to the Truth Social API. That's a degree of theft and a degree of corruption that is literally unimaginable. This is someone who's, to be clear what the president's selling in that case, this is work product in his job as our employee. As the president, we employ him. We're his boss. What he's doing is he's taking information about what the company he works for is going to do. That company is called the US government, and he's selling it through his own company. Like, it's corrupt on its face, and that colors things everywhere.
Yeah, so it's a good point. It's like the U.S. is a corporation. It's not really a government anymore. And then you have this kind of like merger of corporations between the U.S. government, Uncle Sam, and then Trump and the Trump Corporation, Trump family, and of course Israel. Like it's kind of like a human centipede. That's how you could think about it. Go ahead and show this. This is important. So Trump media operator Truth Social reports quarter two net loss of $238.1 million, a revenue of $1.7 million. Do people pay for True Social Premium? That is truly insane. That's like having Cricket Wireless. Trump Media and Technology Group posted another large net loss for the second quarter of 2026, $238.1 million, while the company generated $1.7 million in sales for the period. This is how most media companies work. This is what made InfoWars different. This is what makes us different in general, is we don't lose money, we make money. And all these big places that you see, they lose money constantly because it's not about making money to them or being successful, I guess would be a better way to put it. Actually having something that funds itself, that's the real way to put it. They don't care about that because they got infinite money to throw away into their propaganda, and it's a weapon for them. You understand that. Donald Trump is the largest shareholder, holding more than 40% of the shares through a revocable trust, according to a July 21 Bloomberg report. The company operates True Social, President Trump's favored social media platform. Company's $238.1 million net loss for, oh, damn, a typo from them. You got to do a better job writing. Damn. Compares with a $20 million net loss in the year earlier period. TMTG said the vast bulk of its losses in Q2 were non-cash losses, including unrealized losses on digital assets. What, like NFTs? Are you kidding me? Did Trump? Oh, he did sell NFTs. That's right. Digital assets pledged and equity securities, $190.4 million. The company reported $25.6 million in legal expenses in the most recent quarter, primarily related to legacy litigation that has now been substantially resolved. $1.7 million in revenue was up 89%. Dude, imagine spending hundreds of millions of dollars and making like 800 grand. Or not making, only generating. They're not making any money. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. On August 1st, TMTG launched a new Truth API service. This is the most insane grift yet out of the Trump administration that provides instant access to the highest ranking accounts on Truth Social, including Trump charging as much as $100,000 per month. The move has drawn criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, including Senator Bill Cassidy, who called it a form of buying access. It's not a form of buying access. It's the ultimate access. In announcing earnings Monday, the company said it had onboarded a number of institutional customers prior to its August 1st, 2026 launch. And despite receiving what it believes to be factually inaccurate criticism of Truth API, it is continuing to onboard additional partners. So more grift. TMTG says its mission is to end big tech's assault on free speech by opening up the internet and giving people their voices back. The company was founded in February 2021 after Trump was suspended from platforms including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The services Trump had violated rules against inciting violence. That's what they say. Right? That's always their excuse. Really, they just took the sitting president off of social media when that all happened, or right after he was the president. They took him off social media. Pretty insane. So they've expanded their Bitcoin holdings now to 900 million, and they've reported more unrealized losses. Bitcoin holdings to 900 million. What to know about True Social owners' Bitcoin stash. Exciting. Trump Media Technology Group reported Monday that it held more than 900 million worth of Bitcoin at the end of July. The disclosure appeared in the subsequent event section of Trump Media's earnings report. The company behind True Social held 9,477.16 Bitcoin on its balance sheet as of June 30, valued at $557 million, down 33% from the amount reported for the 6 months ended December 1st, 2025. That's a lot of money. Overall, the company recorded a loss of $306.69 million on its digital assets for the first half of 2026, which also includes a stash of Kronos, crypto coin. Don't know what that is. For July, Trump Media reported holding 14,000 and some change Bitcoin at an aggregate value of $890.52 million. That means it added 4,000 Bitcoin to its reserves last month, worth $333 million at its current prices. The 14,139 Bitcoin stash would be worth more than $904 million. This is why they don't care about us. This is why they don't give a crap. This is why they don't give a shit. It's because why would they? They live in a different world than you do. Even people like Biden. Biden had like 3 houses? It's like being able to own an entire state, basically. Trump maintains a 41.5% stake in the company, according to the latest filing, translating to a total of 114 million shares and some change. At Monday's closing price, this equated to $1 billion. That's nice. Lastly, Trump transferred his entire Trump Media stake to a trust controlled by his eldest son before his swearing in. That's like backdating papers, basically. That's pretty nuts. It reported a net loss of, we already read this, like $250 million the vast bulk of that was the digital assets, which means probably NFTs. We need to define what that means. That's very sneaky of them. I want to see what the digital assets are they lost so much money on. I want to see that. Let's see. We'll get back into the RFK stuff. Unless you're looking for the answer to that question there, which I am interested in. Trump is a hoax. He's a snake in the poem. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I never got into shitcoin. I didn't get into shitcoin either. I don't consider Bitcoin to be a shitcoin. I had Bitcoin. Trump left the social media echo chamber and invented a social media echo chamber 100%, Captain Randall. Government getting into Bitcoin tells me we need to get out. Well, they have a means to track everything. Okay, look at this. Yeah, Trump digital trading cards. So I guess they lost $250 million on this, which I don't even, I guess it's because they get to create the value and then they get to put that into the company as like, this is the value of these assets so that when they crash, maybe it's good they take that loss on paper. Maybe they save money. Maybe they don't have to pay tax. Autographed sneaker by President Trump, only 25 pairs. You could be one of 25 people wearing Trump Jordans. A piece of Trump's personal debate suit will be on your physical card shipped to you. These people are sick. If you are sick in the head if you're buying it. Look at this. The low top version of the Trump gold sneakers that rock the world. Those are the shoes you wear when you sit in the chair and watch your wife get railed. That's kind of what Trump's into, I believe. President Trump's official platinum edition Stand with Trump sneakers, only 5. Oh, there's plenty of pairs, but they're limited edition. A gala dinner with President. Who is that? That's not Trump. Look at AI Trump. They probably show him that. He's like, I look fantastic. I'm aging in reverse. It's true. I'm aging in reverse. And they say, yes, sir, Mr. President, you are. Dude, what is it with the boomers and believing that AI is real? This is pretty crazy because I've had some family members show me some videos and I'm like, that's fake. Like that's not real. But then they're like, all right, it is real. It is real. Limited time offer, buy 75 or 250 digital trading cards. Why do you have to buy so many of them? Do I get a holographic Marco Rubio? Like, what's going on? And you'll get both dinner with the president at his private country club and a piece of the actual suit from his famous debate. Dude, this is like Kim Jong-un level stuff. This is sick. This is going to create a precedent for the Democrats to do whatever they want when they come back. And then we're going to be blamed for it when in reality, it's everyone that propped up this clearly corrupt grifter who just completely betrayed us all and violated every single campaign promise that he made and took us to war and sold NFTs and did crypto pump and dump, among a trillion other like ridiculous crimes. The crimes are truly ridiculous. Like, that's the thing. And I think there's that the humor element, it's good to point it out and it's good to laugh at it. It's good to commentate on it. But I think the humor element is a part of his strategy to diffuse kind of the evil that he's done. Like he's like, look at me, it's funny, I sell trading cards. But in reality, a president shouldn't be enriching himself and trying to scam people that are retarded and trying to make hundreds of millions of billions of dollars while he's in office. I went to Mar-a-Lago. I met Donald Trump. Look at me, I'm important. Who cares? Seriously, who cares? Who cares about going to these places? All these people are billionaires and they hate you. Not the people that are taking photos with Trump. The people in Mar-a-Lago, they're actually in Mar-a-Lago on like a quote unquote merit, like dismerit, whatever you want to say. They're not like us. They're not like you. And ultimately, even if you bought the 250 Trump trading cards and you got the high top sneakers, you got the holographic Marco Rubio card, whatever, if you go there, they're literally just laughing at your pay pigs, basically. Like, you throw it up. This is actually a good title for the segment. Donald Trump's pay pigs. How ridiculous crimes are propped up by the naive Americans that still support this administration. It's a good title. Write that down. I'll write it down. But yeah, pretty insane. Let's go to the next clip. Why nothing's really being done about that right now is because they can't get rid of the 50 flavors of chips at the gas station. Because if they get rid of the 50 flavors of chips, they get rid of all the candy poison, they get rid of all the dye, they get rid of all the seed oil, these companies can't make any money. That's as simple as it is. We know what these things do on the record: increased inflammation, increased oxidative stress, dyslipidemia, obesity, diabetes, cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Roundup, glyphosate, which is in all our food, which RFK won a $270 million lawsuit proving it was carcinogenic. He now says it's a matter of national security. Are you starting to wake up yet? You starting to realize I don't care about you? I know we got an awake audience, so I know they know that. But let's go to the next one. Yeah. Well, we don't ever see any action. So what's the point? All right, let's go to the next one. Ivanka Trump shared a series of intimate family photos from a recent getaway with Iceland, or to Iceland, with Jared Kushner and their 3 kids. The group explored waterfalls, soaked in the Blue Lagoon, embraced the blah, blah, blah. I wonder if they're going to try to build a resort there as well. So she's there. She was just in Albania. They're building like $1 billion compound. Jared Kushner, of course, heavily involved in every single reconstruction project and demolition project as well in the Middle East. Being joined now by Tim. Glad we got that audio issue figured out. That shit made me like lose my mind. I'm really excited to have George on. It's going to be super cool to be joined by George Galloway of the mother of all talk shows, literal radio legend, political legend, media legend, you name it. Probably need more space over on your side. Yep. Yep. All right, there we go. But yeah, so notice how they're everywhere around the world but America, right? They're not trying to build a giant resort here. They're trying to build resorts, compound bunkers over there. What? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I know. Hey, sure, I'm on the air. I'll call you back, okay? Yeah, it's I got a crazy schedule today, bro, as well. How are you doing? No, but I got a bunch of like work stuff I got to do.
Okay. Well, how we doing, guys? Give me 1 second.
Hey, just go do down. Just go do down over there.
You were just sleeping on the couch, buddy. All right, chat. How we doing today? Okay, so what are you covering right now?
Kind of just doing a roundup on stories that aren't really Iran war related. Trying to check in. So we got Russia-Ukraine war news if we want to get into that.
Yeah, that leads into something that I was for my little mini deep dive.
Sure.
We're just going to be going through this video talking about how Russia has now started to do a lot of legalization of crypto to avoid the dollar pressure.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
So this all ties in. We can start with the Ukraine.
We were just talking about it. Hold on. Let's revisit. Let's go back to Trump media really quick because I think this ties into what Tim's talking about here, just the general crypto conversation.
Yeah.
So they now have $900 million of Bitcoin. It's like
the U.S.
No, Trump.
Trump. Oh yeah. You know what? That makes so much sense.
Right.
You know why? I saw Eric Trump live when I went to Consensus. Consensus is like the biggest crypto, one of the biggest crypto conferences. So it was in Miami. Him and both Don were there, and they run a company called, I think it's called Bitcoin. It's called Bitcoin something, essentially.
Right.
Where they are doing Bitcoin mining. So yeah, I mean they're heavily tied in, and they're the ones that like they're building like massive facilities to do Bitcoin mining to. And for people who don't know what Bitcoin mining is, like high level, it's just essentially whenever a transaction is done on the Bitcoin blockchain, there's a calculation that has to go through. And so there's these people that have these giant, it takes a lot of computing power. And so they have like giant farms of computers to do all the calculating. And then basically from doing the calculation or running that transaction, they get a kickback in Bitcoin essentially as like a, hey, you guys did some work, here's your payment or reward. So that's what the Trumps are doing is they built this giant Bitcoin mining facility and company, and they're partnering with people. Obviously, he's probably not directly doing it.
Right.
He just basically gets on the deal, gets to be the face, gets to do all these things.
Well,
It's like crazy.
I like it where Trump is like, oh, I have 40% of the shares in the Trump media group. I control it. Oh, just the day before I get sworn in, I just give it to Don Jr. It's fine. Like, come on. Like, dude, we talked about Biden for years. We talked about Biden for years. You can't talk about Biden for years and then ignore this.
So that this explains their. Remember, we talked about this, I think 2 days ago. Their net worth has increased $4 billion since being in presidency. It's because they've got their hands in everything that is cutting edge. It's crazy.
Right. And he really, he like in 2016 is a little bit different, but like this is the time of like technological advancement. Things are happening so rapidly, the advancements, and it's like he's got a finger in every pie. That's the old term.
I
for
like
it.
this one.
I like this one. I want that one. I want that one. And then it spoils it for everybody else. And they're like, what are you doing? You can't do that.
Donald, you got to stop.
You got to stop.
Got to stop defrauding everybody. Come on now.
Okay, Austin, what is this? What do we have? What's this video here?
Yeah, this is my video.
Oh, you want to play it?
Yeah, so just to give you guys a high level overview, this happened a couple days ago. If you guys don't recall, back in 2022 when Russia and Ukraine and everything, was that 2022 when that started? So long ago.
Yeah, it was.
Goodness gracious.
It's insane.
What did we do to Russia? We took them off of the financial banking
Took them
system,
off SWIFT,
and it completely decimated their economy. And so I think at this point, Russia understands that, this is the US's big stick to basically destroy anybody's economy. And Iran is a perfect example of how they are doing these things. But this video kind of covers all the things that Russia has now started to do. And the problem is the U.S. is scared of this happening because they think other countries are going to follow suit as they legalize crypto. Because with crypto, you don't need a centralized bank. You don't need Daddy America anymore if you allow transactions to go through all of these crypto exchanges. So
how does that fit in really quick before the video with the CBDC and the potential of that? Like, do you understand that at all?
CBDC.
They want to like tie the debt to a stable coin.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
I mean, that's because America's trying to create their own stablecoin. He actually explains it a little bit in here, so this is perfect. But yes, America could offload. They basically say, hey, you should still buy the digital dollar because, we're still America and we can back this with our bonds. So you still trust us. It's just another way for America to basically still steer the ship some way. Right. So we'll go ahead and play a little bit of this.
In America was just asked whether the dollar will stay as the world's reserve currency. And here's what he said.
If America is in a weakened state, and this is important too, like if we're not the strongest military in 25 years and the strongest economy, we won't be the reserve currency either.
So his two conditions are military and economy, but I think there's arguably something even more important than that. It's about whether the rest of the world's money still has to flow through your economy. And that brings me to what happened this week, because a couple days ago, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, signed a 287-page law. It's called the Federal Law on Digital Currencies and Digital Rights. It was signed on August 4th, so effectively this means Russia just legalized crypto. It is their version of the Clarity Act. Now the question is, why would Russia do this? There's two theories. The official theory is because this is a story about a nation's access to money. Here's Vladimir Putin's explanation of it.
Much in the same way as Russia, they might suddenly find themselves cut off from their legitimate financial assets currently held in dollars or euros at any time. And they could also lose access to the entire Western financial payment infrastructure. We all fully understand that this is fundamentally about unfair competition. No? The excuses they provide can vary, but they will always find one, like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine in our case, or a conflict in the Middle East in another instance. The various conflicts across the African continent, or even the way they treat the LGBTQ plus community. Look, they are always going to find fault with anything.
So he's basically saying that if and when the US wants, they will always find any reason they want to put economic pressure on a nation. So this is Russia's way of...
Yeah, come back to it for a second. Like, think about that. There is some weight to that statement. Like, right and wrong is subjective in certain aspects, right? Like what appears wrong to the United States, other countries may not have a problem with. But when you are literally the number one country in the world, your word is law.
And that's what we're starting to lose now.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. And you see kind of all the entitled Chungus behavior of like, oh, we should be able to bomb them, do whatever. It's like, no, because you degraded your power over decades and decades and decades, not just militarily, financially.
Right. And I think about this right now is this thought came to my mind. You know, we've done a lot of damage in the world because of the fact that, like, okay, we know how we feel about our government. Think about how other countries feel about our government. Okay. So they haven't been making good decisions for probably the last decade. And there's these guys, the Lindsey Grahams, the John McCains, all these other guys that are out there stirring the hornet's nest and creating problems where there doesn't need to be problems. Yeah, these countries are gonna they have common sense. They realize, holy crap, what are you guys doing? We didn't sign up for this. This isn't something that we wanted. Like, Russia did not even want to invade Ukraine out of just oh yeah, we just need to take over Ukraine. It was all because of what happened during the Biden administration.
Right.
So it's all these calculations that keep going on. And it's very hard for me to defend America in these circumstances because I'm a real patriot. I'm like, I love my country, but I know that we haven't done things the right way by the rest of the world all the time.
Well, see, you've got it right inherently, like you've got the correct sense of things because it's not patriotic to support endless foreign entanglements. This is what they all talked about, right? This is why I said no entangling foreign alliances, right? It's because why do we know about the Donbass region? Why do we know about the Strait of Hormuz? Why do we know about the Houthis and all this shit? We should know about how great our life is here, right? But our life is terrible here, so they want to distract you by making you think about Strait of Hormuz.
Right. And so instead of this, like, hold this primal core.
Sure.
Hey, Rex, can I have that primal core?
Sure.
Well, even if you were gonna say no, it's mine now. It's like we don't care.
I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm not gonna offer it again. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's like whether you say yes or no, it's mine. Like, I already made that calculation. So yeah,
that he's like a seagull, like eating fries.
Mine.
Yeah, Finding Nemo, exactly.
All right, we could go back to the video.
Clawing back its access to money. Okay, how? So when a company in one country sells something to a company in another country, the money moves through a sequence, like your bank, to a bank that has a relationship with your bank.
Dude, guess how much it cost me to make sure.
Oh, the ads.
We
love the ads.
Gotta have premium. Gotta have premium, man. Oh, man. So just the whole idea, you look at what happened with Russia and you look at what happened day one. They froze like $300 billion in assets. They said you can't use SWIFT anymore. Now BRICS has something called SIPs. You know, now they have their own means to process payment.
Yeah.
And even though that's not used as widely as it is, like as SWIFT is, that time will change. That time is coming. And it really is like just the regional instability that we've bred just basically everywhere around the world. Think about China, South China Sea, Taiwan. Think about Ukraine, Russia. Think about the whole situation in the Middle East. We're supposed to be able to fight two major conflicts and one regional conflict at the same time. That's our military doctrine. Are we able to do that? We can't fight for 39 days.
Rex, we can do anything. We're America.
Yeah.
We're the rising empire.
Dream it and make it real.
This is still the 1950s. What are you talking about?
That's right.
Okay, we can go back to it.
I wish I was a boomer.
With that bank and eventually to the seller. And in most of those chains, no matter where in the world you are, they'll end up passing through a U.S. institution somewhere along the way. That connection point is what's called a correspondent account. It's the most important thing in international finance because whoever controls that account controls whether your trade happens or not. And Russia lost access to a lot of those chains in 2022. Now, Russia still has oil, it still has gas, precious metals and food and all the other things that other countries want to buy. The problem for Russia is getting paid. That's what this law is actually about. Russia wants back into the world market. And that's where crypto comes in. It's what's called a bearer asset that settles between two parties without a correspondent bank sitting in the middle deciding whether to allow it or not. The crypto law says if you're a Russian company importing or exporting, and you want to settle a contract in crypto with a foreign country, this law says that you can do it. There's no limit on the transaction. You can even do it wallet to wallet if you want. You just have to report it and pay taxes on it. Now, hold on. Why would Russia go through all this trouble to build something legal and licensed instead of just using some shadow banks or some crypto, right? Here's why. Because if you try that, the US will cut you off. In fact, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, just made an example of Iran and what would happen if you don't follow the rules. He said, quote, Iran's shadow banking system is buckling under economic fury. And the regime is running out of ways to move money.
I want Rex to hear this portion, but he's right. Yeah, this is how this guys, if you want to see what a dying empire looks like, this is exactly the same chain reaction of sequences that happened with Britain, happened with the Romans, and right now we're like grasping for straws, trying to at least keep some resemblance of what we used to be. We couldn't even make it. I don't even know if we're gonna make it to like 400 years of being the number one. We just hit 250. I think we probably hit 260, and then we start seeing someone else coming into play. But convincing the entire world to have us as the reserve currency gave us so much extra capital, so much money that all these other countries don't have. And like we were talking about early, being able to weaponize that, huge issue, right? And just the fact that like we are the watchdog of every single transaction. It's like we sit here and we do illegal transactions overseas. Do you know how many times we've definitely like funneled money into some terrorist organization and just people just making millions of dollars off of that siphoning, and then some guy gets weapons over here, but then you see like a country like Iran or maybe Russia or somebody else try to do the same things. Rules apply to us only. It really is like this backhanded, like you do what I say, not as I do. Like that's really the calculation here. And that would piss anybody off. And like I said, this isn't for me to rag on my country. It's just we have not figured out a way to do things diplomatically to where you can get people to do what you want, but just in a strategic way where you lead with like an actual agreement where they feel like they're getting something out of the deal.
It's not patriotic to run around punching everyone in the face and then saying we're the strongest, so we can do it. Like, that's literally what it is. It's just like we're a playground bully. And everyone expects us to be like the class president.
Yes.
You know, it's like we're the class president and then we're like beating the other kids up in the school.
Right.
And there's no teacher. We're also the teacher as well.
We're also the teacher as well.
That doesn't exactly work out.
Teacher, he hit me. And he just like walk over.
But then
I am the teacher.
Here's what it's like. It's like, think about the past 80 years, right? Think about that as like 12 grades. The kids are now in 12th grade. And when the teacher and the class president is now the same size as the students and he's running around smashing the students in the face, the students are still traumatized.
Yeah.
They're still, it's a PTSD. Like, ooh, like I remember the bad memories and stuff. But one of these days, one of these times, one of the little kids is going to stand up. We ain't going to be so little anymore.
Right.
And some might say that's Iran. So some might point that out that as an example.
And that's a scary day for if they were to ever get their legs back underneath them.
Yeah.
That would be a scary time.
And you think about this.
I remember those days.
There's all this talk, and I know we're on the Ukraine thing or just the crypto thing in general, but there's all this talk of like, oh, we're going to increase the missile production. We're going to make more of the missiles. Who has all the rare earth mineral processing?
China.
That's right. So how is that going to work? They're going to sell us weapons so that we can kill them? What? How does that work?
Well, you know, Rex, we can do anything better, right? So that's why we're trying to figure out how to do that over here.
Right.
Even though we could never match them because of the fact that like they don't have like EPA regulations
It's
and all the
horrible for the
environmental. They don't have all these environmental regulations, and then they also have extremely cheap manpower to be able to do that. And people come out of high school going right into being placed in those institutions.
We covered it, right? Like the schools are right next to the rare earth mineral processing places.
So these guys are being trained like only in rare earth minerals, and that they know what they're gonna do as soon as they get out of college.
And our high schoolers, they go to the McDonald's next to the school.
6-7.
And then they do
6-7.
TikTok 6-7 dances. Exactly.
TikTok dances.
We're winning. It's more winning, Tim.
Yeah.
We must not be racist.
Okay, rewind that just a little bit. I want Rex to catch a little bit of what this
Sure.
guy was talking about. You don't have to go too far back.
banks or some crypto, right? Well, here's why. Because if you try that, the US will cut you off. In fact, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, just made an example of Iran and what would happen if you don't follow the rules. He said, quote, Iran's shadow banking system is buckling under economic fury,
Just pause it.
and the regime is running out of ways to move.
Iran, here, leave it up there. Leave it up. I'll read it. Iran's shadow banking system is buckling under economic fury, and the regime is running out of ways to move money. Every facilitator that keeps the regime afloat is putting a target on us. Ooh. We know he likes backs, right? Big back. Treasury will continue to expose the networks and cut them off from the U.S. financial system. Today, Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control took action against multiple networks spanning several countries for enabling Iran's rubber banking system to move hundreds of millions of dollars. Iran is desperate for foreign currency, and to make matters worse for the regime, blah, blah, blah. So they're under crippling sanctions already. It's just, it's what does it do? Like what does this mean?
If they're under the crippling sanctions?
Well, just like, it's just, we're trying to take more money from them, basically?
Yeah, I mean, so like you saw that chain that he gave, and it was like, okay, the banking goes through these sequence of steps, and the U.S.
Right.
has control in one of those sequences. With Iran being under crippling sanctions where they're not allowed on the SWIFT system, they basically punish the companies that are trying to help them circumvent that. And so what that does is it disincentivizes all the other people around them to actually help them, so that you can really keep this person in this bubble,
Right.
and that there's no ability for them to escape your will. And so, I mean, they've survived this whole time somehow. You know, it's kind of wild that the country has not, like, you leave Iran and you go vacation, you're taking out cash. You literally cannot use like a card that would work anywhere else because you don't have the same banking
Right.
system as the rest of the world.
And if you look at images of Iran, it's very modernized. So, like, you think about where these places would be if they were not, in conflict with us, and you think about just kind of the situation in the world. This is the problem with perpetuating war, is it doesn't just hurt us over here, it hurts everyone across the planet, and then it makes everyone across the planet more violent, more warlike, more aggressive, because they're like, hey, fuck you. Like, you're taking everything from us.
Yeah, and that's why you've got like people saying death to America in Iran and like in the parliament, and then they've got citizens saying the same thing in certain aspects. Not
Citizens
all-
want it more.
Yeah.
The government is more. That's the thing, dude. You watch these people, like the old people in government that fought the Iran-Iraq war.
Yeah.
They're like,
They're the
well, let's-
boomers of their
yeah,
generation.
They're like, we're trying to figure this out. And the population is doing revenge. That's what they say in the street.
Well, I think it's opposite, actually. If you go to the average Iranian, and other people have gone there, they don't actually hate Americans.
Sure.
They hate what our government has done to Iran, but they know the people aren't responsible. Just like they don't always support their government.
Sure, very true.
But like we created that existential crisis of where like there's
The rally
missiles,
around the flag.
Yeah, there's missiles literally bombing a bridge that I drove over the other day.
And even if you're friendly to the American regime, you have to make a decision at that point of like, am I a patriot or am I not?
Yeah, trust me. If China started launching missiles tomorrow, on
Trump would
just-
have 100% approval.
I would, yeah,
Yeah.
I would be like, go get him, right? Like, despite what I feel against the current establishment,
But that's the reality of being like a patriot of your country and saying like, hey, like if we're under attack, I'm going to support my leadership versus people dropping bombs on my head.
Exactly. That's the calculation you have to make.
All right. It's the whole thing about the targeted strikes and whatnot. Like, you remember when this was first happening, just like the rivers of fire and like the giant poison cloud, because they blew up the oil depot in Tehran.
I forgot about that.
Dude, like they literally like biblical plagues on these people. And then
Right.
it's like, Lindsey Graham's like, we're going to give them the Second Amendment. And it's like, really? You think that's going to work?
Hey, I just came back from Disney, y'all.
Right.
What's going on over here?
Ooh, oh no, it's a bomb.
It's like
I died. Oh shit.
it's like,
Oh man.
all right, we'll go back to the video.
money. Every facilitator that keeps the regime afloat is putting a target on its own back. Treasury will continue to expose these networks and cut them off from the US financial system. End quote. Okay, very interesting. What does that mean? What it means is the United States is cutting any country, company, or person out of the US dollar system if they allow sanctioned countries or businesses to go around them. That is why, a couple days ago, the US Treasury put out a list of a few names. There were a couple people, there were a handful of companies, and what all of them had in common was they moved money to help Iran. Hundreds of millions of dollars on the behalf of an Iranian bank in multiple currencies across at least 4 countries. And they did this using a series of shell companies. The US found out.
Pause it. Couldn't they just like keep that screen up there? Look at the names. Like if you were trying to like hide money, like these are like, some of these look like Middle Eastern words, like Amir. Like how are you gonna hide money in a shell company that clearly points to you? So
right.
It says Shima Sharifi.
Here's
like,
the thing.
Come on now.
They classify the oil tankers, the Russian oil tankers, they call it the shadow fleet, right? And this is just part of the like propaganda war. Ooh, the shadow fleet, so scary, but it's just not insured by a Western company.
Yeah.
It's not illegal to sell oil, right? Like it's not a crime. Just because we say you're sanctioned and that you won't do it to our system, you can sell it to other people, right? So the idea of like we block you off from our financial system and then we attack you, we bomb you, we or the Ukrainians do whatever when you use your, it's just we're the hostile actor. Like we're doing the provocation nearly every single time. And we probably could have had a lot better outcome and maybe won some of these conflicts had we not been so insane and aggressive. I think that's key because like you force them in that position. It's just like leaving the Ayatollah alive. Like if I'm Trump and I'm doing the Iran war, I'm leaving the Ayatollah alive, make him look weak. The population starts to hate him. They have the revolution, right? But you kill him and then he becomes like demigod status. It's stupid.
Yeah, and cut back to this real quick. I think about this. I'm like, let's say you leave Iran and some of these other countries alone. I think eventually they would have just been fighting each other, and like
yes,
there wouldn't they would have their own regional conflicts. It's not like they would ever think about coming over here or doing something, but
Right.
really it's a resource calculation of the Cold War where you got to think about, well, if we're not going to be here, Russia and China are going to
Yeah,
be
it's
here,
the power vacuum,
right?
Domino theory.
Honestly, all of these actions that we have done up till now has been for one reason and one reason only, and it was to stay in power and not allow China to have any influence. You look at Cuba, you look at Venezuela,
right.
you look at any of these conflicts in the Middle East, they don't want China to have this Belt and Road Initiative where they've built like a corridor for them to be able to do
The
trade.
IMEC corridor,
Think
yeah.
about it, even the Panama Canal, like the things that we were doing there, and Trump's like, I want it back. He sold it for $1, but it's mine. And it's like, that's because we didn't want to allow China to have any influence over the transactions that go on the Panama Canal. And so that's what all of this boils down to. It's the secret second Cold War that we can clearly see.
World
and
War
it's kind
III.
of, yeah.
World War IV, technically. If you think about it like that, that's what my dad says because of the Cold War. He calls it World War IV.
Yeah.
Which I think is an accurate characterization because I don't care what happens, whether it's a war or whether it's economic conditions. When you kill millions of people with sanctions or when you do whatever, like that's warfare. So like, and you could say Chinese do it, you can say the Russians do it. We're the kings of it.
Yep.
It's like how we practice.
100%. Even the stuff that happens in Africa that we don't really cover, it's because there's some world
talked
power
about
influence.
Somalia, right? You did
Yeah.
that whole Somalia
It's a
thing.
resource extraction. What's going on there?
And then, of course, our military, we're inserting ourselves to stop the terrorists, but now we control the gold routes, and we're grifting off of that as well.
Yeah, that's the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Right.
They have a bunch of like rubber, gold, diamonds, all of these things, right?
Right.
And so, like, yeah, I mean, it's like, well, somebody's got to be here if it's not going to be us. It's like,
They have a checkpoint system as to where like, you got to like check with like a bunch of local warlords and pay them their fee as
Right.
you go from the country that.
But think about, people don't realize how much damage the Cold War did on the entire world. The only reason why those warlords have the weapons that they do,
right?
They're Russian weapons.
That's very true.
Right?
AK-47.
All of these things, these are cyclical these are cyclical motions, right? Like all of this can be traced back to at some point the United States and some other country had beef. Now, it doesn't excuse like there are bad actors and corruption in certain parts, but like there are silent conversations that are had to where like we kind of like, all right, well, we want this person to be pro-America line, and then Russia at that point was like, nah, we don't want that, and it's the Soviet Union. And so a lot of these like the turmoil has already started way back then, and all you're seeing is just the linear progression of that decision that happened back there where no one cared about the long-term side effects. It's always the not caring about the long-term side effects is why a lot of these conflicts are still playing out the way that they're playing out.
And the stuff that's really next level retarded is when we go to a place that's fine and then we destroy it for no reason. And we're like, oh, we're just going to put our person in charge. Not even like talking about the situation, like there's Cold War situation where the Russians are empowering a group. Maybe we want to go fight them. But like, look at a place like Libya, right? Look at the Libyan model. Look at what happened there. And it's just like, oh, we thought we could do something better. And look how that ended up. Every single time we try to do one of these regime changes, it doesn't end well for anyone.
Never ends well.
Like, can we think of one example where it worked? Can we?
Maybe Venezuela now. I don't know.
That's maybe Venezuela now because that's mafia, right? And it's just really under new management. Like nothing has changed.
Under new management.
It's the number two became the number one.
Didn't they say that the number two, they were the reason why? She helped them.
She helped the special forces people build a model of Maduro's house so they could practice the raid. So
crazy.
There's that. There's al-Shara, of course, in Syria, but you can't say that ended well because he's murdered thousands of Alawites and Shia Muslims and Christians.
Right.
So it's not exactly a W just because he comes to the White House.
I think George just joined, but
he's probably getting hooked up. We're going to be joined by George Galloway, political legend, media legend, all around great guy. Really honored to have him on the show. Mother of all talk shows, just a staple. Really, you got to follow them as well.
You guys could just, George and his team could just let us know when you guys are ready. We'll add you to stage whenever, but
for sure. But it's sickening how people in America have been made to feel proud of all this stuff, right? It's like, oh, the projection of power, it makes you weaker. It hurts your family directly. You don't have as many resources. You don't have the money that you used to have. You don't have the freedom and safety when you think about the world. Like, oh, I'm going to go vacation here, X, Y, Z. Well, it's like, well, maybe people hate Americans in that region now because of what we've done. Because there's places I'd love to visit. I would love to visit places in the Middle East. I'd love to visit places in Asia. Like,
I was like, you know, if I had an opportunity to like go to Afghanistan or like Iran or maybe like one of those countries, maybe Iraq, I would probably do it just to get the culture and see what that experience is like, where it's just vastly different than what anything I've experienced in my lifetime.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I know it's not going to be safe for me as an American, and you know, who knows what happens, right?
I mean, look at Lebanon. Like Lebanon is one of those places where like, I think like my grandparents have been. Like this is like one of like the thousands of years of history. You got all these different groups together. You got the Christians there. You got the Muslims there. You got everything. It's where Jesus walked, literally. And now you think about the idea of going there. No, I'm not going to Lebanon anytime
Absolutely
soon.
not. I even feel that way about Russia. Like I have friends that could go there because they're like Indian and they have no problem.
They're just working.
Well, like because Indian and Russia's relation, nothing would happen to them. But like for me, I was like, actually, it's not a good time for me to go to Russia.
Right.
And I had to make that calculation because of the fact what's going on right now. I mean, I don't want to be Brittany Griner or whatever, where they hold me ransom for like months in a gulag. Like I'm good.
They trade you for the merchant.
Exactly.
Who appears on the Alex Jones Network. Shout out to Victor Boot.
Didn't they trade, not to get into the weeds, didn't they trade her for like some Russian like secret spy or somebody who was like
well,
like somebody who was bad? Like
so he's a friend of the show, the Alex Jones Network. He comes on every Tuesday.
My bad.
No, you're all right.
My bad.
Well, here's the thing. Definitely arms dealer, right? Definitely arms dealer.
Okay, that's what I'm like. Wait, what's his name?
Victor Boot. who I'm a fan of, by the way. I enjoy it. But that is the whole, the calculation is like, yeah, we're going to trade, they're going to trade the pothead Brittany Griner for Victor Boot. That's the type of deals we make. I'm happy he's out because I want to watch him on TV. But
so he streams all the way in Russia, and he
the
comes on
globalist, Alex, the globalist. That's my Victor Boot impression.
What did he do? What did he do? He sold arms and stuff.
He sold arms.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he sold arms. He's now a part of the Russian government as well. He's a leader of the opposition party to Putin, I believe.
Oh well, he won't be around for very long.
No,
you know what Putin does to his enemies.
I'm not sure they're enemies though per se. Gotcha. I think everyone in Russia is kind of in lockstep. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? They kind of.
I hope nothing happens to him.
We got a dear leader thing over here. I think they got a dear leader thing over there.
Yeah. Okay, we'll watch a little bit more of this. They're just testing audio, so we're not gonna add them on yet.
And now it's cutting them off. So the US is basically saying either comply with the system and play by the rules, or you don't get to play with others. Now, if you're a sanctioned country like Russia, you want to make sure that you still have the technology to allow your country to trade with others, regardless of whether the US allows it or not. That's why Russia's passing their own version of the Clarity Act. That is the official understanding of it. The unofficial theory, though, I think is a lot more interesting. So in today's video, I want to share with you a very plausible theory about why Russia is really doing this and what effect this might have on Bitcoin. This is going to be super interesting. So with that said, let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for Russia's Bitcoin. Now, the low-level understanding of what I've seen is that Russia is now all of a sudden pro-crypto, and they're so forward-thinking. This is really bullish for Bitcoin, and it's why it's going to go to $150,000 a coin. Okay, fine. Here's what I think the high-level theory is, and by the end of this video, you can decide whether you buy it or not. The unofficial theory says Russia is not legalizing crypto because it likes Bitcoin. What it's doing with crypto and stablecoins is it's building a wall for the tsunami of what's coming to the world. And the tsunami is when the US finally approves.
Websites your competitors don't.
We got hit. We got hit with the advertisement. But yeah, when the US finally approves what?
Like our own stable coin.
Right.
Essentially is what I think he's getting into.
We'll go back to it.
Why? Well, it's because of what a stable coin actually is.
Yeah, go back a little
because
bit.
A stable coin is a dollar that lives on your phone.
Go back.
It does not need a bank.
All right, we're paying for YouTube Premium today, Austin.
The Clarity Act. Why? Well, it's because of what a stable coin actually is. Because a stable coin is a dollar that lives on your phone. It does not need a bank or a branch in some country, right? It doesn't need permission from anyone's central bank. If you have an internet connection, you effectively have a dollar account. And that has never been true before in human history. See, for the last 80 years or so, if you were a country and you wanted to keep your citizens within the confines of your own currency, it was actually pretty easy to do because you control the banks. You control who gets a dollar account. You put in what are called capital controls, and the dollar could only get in through the doors that you control. Stablecoins, though, they sort of give the master key to anyone with access to them. So imagine you're Russia, right? You're sanctioned. Another country says you can't trade with others, and if you try, you can't get paid. So all your businesses get cut off, your currency gets put under pressure, your interest rates skyrocket because now you're forced to print money. Your citizens have watched the ruble lose value their entire lives. And now at some point in the next year or two, the United States is going to pass a law that lets US banks and US corporations issue US dollars onto the internet with the backing of the most stable assets in the world, US treasuries, which are fully regulated, they're completely legitimate. Anyone in the world with a smartphone can hold those, including every single person in Russia. That is the tsunami. Now, I made a video about how Russia accused the US of planning to do this, which is by offloading $36 trillion at the time, now it's $40 trillion, of US debt onto the whole world through what they called the crypto cloud. So what Russia's really worried about is basically 140 million of their own people deciding that they'd rather save in dollars on an app they have on their phone. So this is not a guess at what Russia is worried about. They have said this themselves. Again, that was Anton Kobiakov, who's the presidential advisor to Putin, and he's also one of the people who organizes their big annual economic forum. That is something that no border could ever stop, no army that could ever defend against it. So what do? Right? You can maybe try to shut off the internet. That's really hard to do. Maybe you can turn off the app store, but you can't really stop this technology. This is coming. But there is one thing you can do. And what you can do is you can get there first. You build your own digital money, you make it mandatory, you route all the people's salaries and all the businesses through it, and you make sure that by the time the dollar version comes out, right, you already have your own version. And then separately, you can use your technology to go around the sanctions, because that's how you get paid. That is the unofficial theory. Russia is just building a digital wall for what's coming.
Pause it.
Let's go through the evidence.
Cut back to this real quick. I don't think the calculation is more so like they want to like have their currency be the reserve of the world. It really is about like a self-protection aspect.
Well, dude, it's like everything. We did gain of function research again. We can't stop doing gain of function research. You see what I'm saying? Like we do gain of function research with the money, with the war, with the virus. Like we're just creating these situations by putting them through a hardship. Be like, oh, well, you're coming for us. We got to get there first.
Yeah, and you know what's hard about all of this is it's not like I'm like pro Russia or like I'm pro Iran or I'm pro China. None of those things. Like I will always back America to the hilt as far as like I would rather have us at the head of the table than any of these other countries.
I agree.
But my opinions about what we do have changed as we go into the specifics of like all the history and things. And so like I can't blame the countries fully for like I always think about like where there's smoke there's fire. I'm like, why does everyone have such a problem with America? Like what's going on here? Like I was always taught that Russia was like a complete enemy, evil, right? The same way that we think about all the people in the Middle East and like the propaganda is so heavy, so heavy.
The world order relied on us being a benign hegemon. You know, like the responsibility after World War II is, hey, you can be the steward, but you have to make sure that everyone plays nice. And, you know, everyone else has done, you know, they've done their regional wars and conflict and stuff, but we have done really, you know, because we've been afraid of losing that power. It's like having a girlfriend or something. You're afraid you're going to lose her. So you're like, I love you. Let's go spend more time together.
Exactly.
And that does nothing but end the relationship.
All it does is just keeps pushing.
You're trying, it's like oil and water and you're trying to make it mix and it just doesn't happen.
Right. Dude. And I can remember as a kid during like the Iraq stuff and Afghanistan and all of those things, like just that's the enemy. Like those people are evil and all the citizens that live in that country are basically terrorists. And like it's crazy how the propaganda, you just don't even realize how indoctrinated you are.
I think one of the key things that we've really realized, I think it'll be fun to talk to George about this too, is like the people in all these countries everywhere around the world, they're not bad people. Okay, they're really not. Like where we have a problem with the government, we have a problem with the government. Right. And it's really, it's unfair. You think about the way that we feel about what Trump has done to us.
Right.
And you look across the world at all these other countries and you're like, the governments are just not representative.
Even the fundamentals of China, like, you know, as much as we say like China's our enemy, like I can go travel to China right now and nothing will happen to me. Right. And we used to have this exchange program back in the day where it still goes on at my school where like the Chinese family comes over here to America. We have a sister school, and then the Americans go over to China, and you live with them. You stay for them with like 3 weeks or something like that. They come over here. They do the same
Dirty
thing.
communism. You're going to learn all the communism from the Chinese. And it's like, well, here's the thing. If you don't have life experience, you don't know what these other places are like, then you're not going to be able to succeed.
Here's the thing. I'm going to put this up.
Like my school had a sister school in Barcelona, Spain. I got to like experience like European people and meet them, hang out with them and stuff. So
here, I know people make this calculation. F America.
I disagree. With
I
that.
disagree. I disagree with that because here's the thing: when you take the narrative too far, that like even America is the evil, and you start there's a propaganda that comes to that where there's other countries that just want to hijack that.
Is
narrative.
a country a government or its people? This is the question.
Key distinction.
That's the question. Is a country the government or the people? You often hear people in America say, "I love my country, I hate my government." What does that actually mean? You know,
Right.
I think we got to have the consciousness, not even a class consciousness, but just like a citizen's consciousness of like we live in this society. It's ours. It doesn't belong to. Trump is not the king. No matter how much he'd like to act like one, he's not the king of Earth or the king of America.
Well, and that F America thing, that mentality gets you to the point where like now they don't do Pledge of Allegiance in schools anymore.
Right.
They don't play the national anthem, which is I couldn't fathom. I was like, that's such a normal thing for me to
Everyone
stand
else
there.
does it as well. Everyone else has
Right.
their own version.
Do they? You guys can tell me in the chat. Like, do you have kids that are in school right now where they are no longer doing the Pledge of Allegiance? I'd be curious what part of the United States you're in, because it's probably not for Texas, right?
Maybe you go do it in front of the McDonald's. You know, you go your favorite fast food place, Jack in the Box, Burger King, Chick-fil-A. You go pledge allegiance to that now. You know, because that's what's going to employ you and take care of you.
It is 100%. Yeah. So like at the end of the day, it's like when you make those types of decisions, you say F America, you also feed into that propaganda too. It's not about F
Yeah,
America.
and the whole thing about the communism, whatever, we have a mixed economy. Like the government owns interests in all the biggest, like Nvidia, things that prop up the stock market. Like it's to say that they have, you know, some sort of like a draconian control. We have draconian control. It's just monopoly. It's just corporate monopoly instead of government monopoly.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's endorsed by the state directly. Like me and you, if we want something done, we can't go to the White House and get a meeting with Trump. But if the CEO of Tyson Foods, Tyson Chicken, if he needs to get some regulation cut or he needs to get some foreign workers or whatever, got no problem. Just
send the lobbyists.
Just send the lobbyists in. They're gonna grease Trump up and send it down the slip and slide, and then it's all good.
And the way that I really realized that happened was from that video of Lindsey Graham and how he was just sitting there talking to BB, and he's like, yeah, all I gotta do is just call Trump up. I got him basically on a string, you know, and that's basically how he was saying it in the video. I'm like, what's going on here?
Even Netanyahu is like, Lindsey, we don't need to do that right now. Actually, it's going to hurt the Iran war effort if we do that. He's just so desperate to be involved. It's not even to be controlled or anything. It's to be involved. Like they want to feel like they're in control of other places. They're not even in control of the U.S. Like, do we feel like we're in control here? Have they controlled our environment, our crime, our healthcare, our safety? No.
Yes.
But very focused on bombing Lebanon for some reason, even though people here can't fucking eat.
Yes. Very. Now, we don't have to go back to that video. I think
We got
curious.
George soon, probably.
Yeah, we
right?
got George soon. I think I'm curious to see what you got here on the Russia stuff.
Yeah, it's just new attacks. The Ukrainian drones attacking in Russia. We got Zelensky as well.
Which out of these do you think would be?
Let's just start with let's do the 13 people have been killed and 75 injured.
Okay.
A long-range Ukrainian drone strike targeted Nizhemkhovsk, a city in the Tartazan region deep inside Russian territory. That shit I said about syllables yesterday, it doesn't apply to that. I'll tell you. Good grief. I don't know how you pronounce that. So
what am I looking at? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 13 people killed, 75 injured. And then we got Zelensky talking. Ukraine wants Israeli air defense badly enough to pay for it.
Why would they launch this attack on the citizens? Is it because Russia has been attacking Kiev and a lot of these
it's asymmetrical warfare because they can't win. Like, so you have to inflict maximum pain on the population in order to try to get them to say, hey, we've had enough of this.
Okay.
Like, it's just terrorism. Like and here's the thing. Zelensky is now, we're about to play this. He's trying to buy air defense weapons from Israel. Some would say Israel needs the air defense weapons more than Ukraine does.
I was say now that they're divorcing us, right?
So how does that work exactly? There's also he wants to make Patriot missiles in Ukraine.
They can't. They
No.
would bomb that.
They number one, they would bomb it. Number two, we don't have the rare earth minerals. So like it's just fanciful notions leading nowhere. Let's play it.
Своей конституции.
All right, mute it, and I'll read the captions. According to our Constitution, we did not receive appropriate assistance. People often ask about Israel. We would also like to receive air defense from them. We'd be ready to buy with our money, not his money. We don't have the opportunity yet, although we are in dialogue. All right, so they're talking to Israel about getting an air defense. It's like, oh, we're starving.
What's the entitlement there? Like, man.
What do you mean?
Like, there's an entitlement to, like, people have to help us, which maybe you could say that's accurate because of the fact that we talked them into doing this. Right. Like, we literally said, go ahead, go do this.
No,
right.
we will support you.
And we will
Boris
support
Johnson
you.
Flew to
Yeah.
Ukraine and promised to support them. And that the reality is, it's an unwinnable conflict. And prolonging it, he just wants more money. He wants more money to be spent on more weapons that ultimately won't be delivered by the time the war is over. Now, the Ukrainians have definitely been able to hold out a lot longer than people thought that they were going to hold out.
Dude, it's going on 5 years now almost.
But that's not entirely a positive for the world now, is it? Because it's just more death, more murder, more destabilization, ultimately another front of World War IV. So, like, we need to... Conflict resolution, I think there's an attitude now as to where, like, as long as we're making money, as long as we're winning, whatever that means, or as long as we can sell it, we're winning, we can do the war. War is evil. War is wrong. War is bad. War is a dead body. Like, you see all these edits, it's all cool and stuff, and you think about just some 19-year-old dead in a ditch with his face blown off. And you're like, oh, that's not super cool, is it? It's not super base.
Yeah, and it's the divorce of, like, being able to see that on a regular basis that people just don't, like, the people who are making decisions, they don't pay attention to those parts of it. They just see numbers and analytical things and stats, and they make calculations based off of that. It really isn't. It's like a bodies and numbers. Okay, we have this many people, but we don't know the names of those people, right? So that's really the divorcing of reality for these people.
Right. I think that's definitely a factor, as you can just, like, wash your hands. I think Stalin, this is a Stalin quote, one death is it's Lenin, one death is a tragedy, a million a statistic. Right. So it's just like when the number gets so big, your brain, like, you could think about 10 dead people, think about 100,000. And it's just like what does that even look like?
Right.
You know, and like what it looks like is, you know, you did that deep dive on Somalia, you can see the bodies from the air. That's the reality.
Yep. You can see satellite images of dead bodies. That's a big distinction there.
Right. We just looked this up and find the article on it, Austin.
We got about like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
So the Patriot missiles that Zelensky is trying to manufacture in Ukraine. Let's just find an article on this. This is just an example of lunatic asylum behavior. Because even if they are going to get some sort of contract to, quote unquote, make the Patriot missile in Ukraine, number one, that'll be targeted pretty much immediately by Russia. Number two, they don't have the rare earth minerals to make the weapons. They can't do it. They literally can't do it. But it's a news story that they put out. And just like I did that street interview with the boomer who wanted to throw some imaginary factoid about Iran moving their missile launchers or whatever, it's just another thing to distract people and manufacture consent for the conflict. Europe is running out of Patriot missiles as Ukraine braces for Russia's winter attacks. New production will come too late. It doesn't even work. The PAC-3 has like a 10% intercept rate. It's ridiculous. Kiev is seeking hundreds of interceptors. We have under 700 right now, by the way. And some would say we need them for ourselves when we need them for them. But new production will come too late. With the war in Iran has strained U.S. supplies, and several of Ukraine's leading European backers say they have few left that they can safely donate. Over the last few months, Russia fires more missiles a week at us than we get from our partners over months. Does that sound like it's working to you? Does that sound like that's a long-term strategy? Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov said last week. In July, Ukrainian air defense intercepted only 29 out of 195 Russian ballistic missiles, with another 40 failing to reach their targets. That's not how you win a football game or a basketball game. I think if the other team scores over 100 points on you and then you score 20 or 30 points on them, I think that's a losing score. Some would say air defense don't work.
It is. And I still think that Russia is holding back a little bit, objectively speaking, because they're still producing missiles. They're still producing a lot of these. Like, it's not like they're using hypersonic missiles. If they really wanted to target like some very like civilian infrastructure and cripple the minds of the Ukrainians, they could have done that like yesterday.
They haven't even blown up the rail line.
Yeah.
That's what I always point to. That's the first thing you do in actual full scale war is you cut the cable, you cut the communications, you cut the rail line. Like whenever Lindsey Graham, the neocon swamp creatures would roll on into Kiev or whatever, they're coming on a train, right? And the Russians know exactly where this is, and they've never hit it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, do we do that? No, we blow up all rail lines, we blow up all bridges, power plants.
Well, yes, I think. Well, I mean, we've even held back in terms of Iran. Like, we could be bombing civilian infrastructure. We could be bombing power grids.
The school, as an example.
Well, I mean, that happened, but I'm just saying, like, if you really want to cripple the minds of the civilians to overthrow the government, all that, you would start attacking those things. But the problem of why these countries don't do that is because there is the world is more globalized now, to the point where the scrutiny from the rest of the world and countries having to be diplomatic with each other, as soon as you start attacking civilians and those types of things, everybody has a problem with it.
It's also a problem as to where, like, the Gulf nations that we're allied with in Israel, they have a lot more to lose when it comes to that infrastructure being disrupted than the Iranians do. The Iranians only get 3% of their water from desalinization. You got some Gulf states where it's over 50%.
Yeah.
So you just can't, you say, oh, we're going to blow up their water. That's really going to make them pay. Well, it's like, okay, I'm sure it'll make them hurt really bad, but they can make you hurt worse by doing the exact same thing. And then you give them the precedent and permission to do it.
Right.
It's permission by attack.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. I'm sure
That
there's
is
a better
basically
term
what
for
it is. George will be joining us
Read some
probably in the
comments,
next
maybe?
4 minutes. Yeah, we can read some comments.
Yeah, Russia could explode every factory in Europe in under 30 minutes. This is true. It's just objective reality. And like they say that they're going to attack Poland. Hear about this?
Yeah.
The NATO weapons depot.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hearing things about false flags. I'm hearing they're trying to bait NATO into a larger conflict. It just doesn't make sense. Here's the thing. Like, Russia's already lost a lot. By the way, the fact that they have to pour all this money into the conflict is not good for the economy, regardless of how you look at it. And we're not really paying attention to the fundamentals of that. But when you're in war, it's never a good thing at the end of the day, except for the people who are making the weapons. Other than that, there's a financial strain on the economy. So
and you also literally are losing manpower because people have to go fight instead of working in your economy.
Key distinction.
That's what we're really talking about here.
Right.
And this is why all this shit is so stupid. Like,
Right.
we don't need to kill each other. Like, we really don't.
No, we really don't.
But we have George, I believe.
Yeah, I think we have George in the building. Why don't you go ahead and introduce him real quick?
Yeah, George Galloway is a legend. He's a political legend. He's a media legend, broadcaster extraordinaire, the host of Mother of All talk shows. I've been watching you off and on for years and years and years, George. My dad is a big fan as well. It's an honor to have you on our program.
The honor's mine. Very glad finally we put it together.
100%. And Tim made the connection, right? You guys started talking?
Yeah.
Tim absolutely did. And I'm very grateful for your forbearance.
Appreciate that.
We got a little bit of an echo.
On his end? Let me
I think
see.
it's on his end. We can fix it really quick.
Yeah, let's see if we can fix the echo.
Edit mic settings. I think it was good.
All right. So yeah, George, like we're two young Americans. We're American patriots. We care about our country, and we're really disgusted by the imperialism that we thought we were voting against, but instead we received tenfold. And it's just a giant, real depressing situation to be Generation Z in America. We voted for no new wars. We voted for, a good economy. Voted to take care of our country. And to see these multiple genocides and insane wars going on, it really breaks our heart.
Okay, they said hella echo. Okay, is that true? George, go ahead and talk a little bit, and we'll see if.
Yeah, I mean, the situation is summed up by Donald Trump in a catering cart, duping the traveling press corps and the officials that he was on the plane that he wasn't. And I think that might be emblematic of his presidency by the end.
Okay, what we're gonna do?
We just have to keep ourselves muted. We just have to take turns.
We're gonna do exactly what we did last time. StreamYard is having some software issues. We were looking at this morning. You exited it and then you came back, right? That's what you did the first time when we
Yes.
fixed it. All right, we're gonna do something real quick to troubleshoot this. We're just gonna
Okay.
exit the stream. Just stay in the feed here. We're gonna exit and then we're gonna come.
We
right back.
appreciate you, George. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, hopefully that fixed it. Go ahead and try.
Let's
to say
hope so.
something. Testing.
Testing 1 2 1 2
Beautiful.
from my end.
We got it. We got it. Thank God. Okay.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
what were you saying, George?
Yeah, I was just making the point that today's pictures of Donald Trump escaping in a catering cart, leaving the traveling press corps and all his officials on board a plane they thought he was on while he was skulking away on a quite different aircraft might end up emblematic of his presidency. It is a very, very sad situation. I didn't support Donald Trump for the presidency. But I made it clear that I'd rather have him than Kamala Harris. Laughing Kamala Harris would have left us all crying. But lo and behold, we got Donald Trump, and now we're all crying. So it's a lesson. I hope a new force will emerge. Perhaps Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey's force will be that force, but a new patriotic force that will put America first. Might just make America great again. Otherwise, I fear we're all going to hell in a catering cart.
Yes. Yeah. Specifically, the World War III, World War IV potential is truly what terrifies us. And I thought I was voting for the peace president, specifically the war in Russia and Ukraine, where we spent hundreds of billions of dollars. Millions of people have died. There is no end in sight. We promised via Boris Johnson to back them to the hilt in NATO, and Trump said he would end the conflict on day one. And I think another example of something emblematic as well, you're talking about the catering cart, is Trump signing the MOU in Versailles, the Palace of Versailles. He didn't know any better, George.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that's the case. History is, I'm not sure what is, maybe driving a golf ball down the fairway. I don't know. But no one can blame you for taking the stand that you did, because Trump promised. He said he would fix the war 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 week. And of course, we are now as deep in the doo-doo as it's possible to imagine. He campaigned as the peace president. He fooled people that there would be no more forever wars. I mean, the Iranians have just declared that they're not going to deal with him anymore. They're waiting for 2029 before they'll return to the negotiations. That sounds like a forever war to me. I watched him closely in the state of Michigan, where he had to win a very significant segment of the public there, with the implied promise, at least, that he would be even-handed in the Middle East, that he'd bring about an end to Middle East wars. And he hoodwinked everybody. He won that state, and he won it on the basis of that stump speech that he was making every day, every night. And it was all a lie. And what do you do when someone that you've believed turns out to be an inveterate liar, especially coming on the back of a president like Joe Biden, a subnormal president, followed by another subnormal president. The imagery of it is, I mean, you just couldn't make it up. It screams the end of empire, the death of empire. It is, I don't know, it is the putrefying corpse.
It's the
of
story.
American
It's the story
that
of
we're
the emperor's
watching
new
now.
clothes. It's the story of the emperor's new clothes. The emperor, of course, dressed in the finest silk, the finest purple, the finest gold, the finest jewels. He gets a tailor, and the tailor says, "I've got clothes so fine you can't even see them." We traded away till we had
You
nothing.
talk about declining empires. I'm sure you've seen what's happened in the UK. Do you see parallels to what's happened? Because you've lived there, you know exactly what that experience is like. What is it like to be on the other end of a declining empire?
Well, yes, I mean, there's a declined empire, a dead empire on the screen behind me. And the British haven't really let go their former glories either. Nowadays, we are the tail of the American empire dog, which with Donald Trump in charge is not a very safe place to be. But the reality is this is the story of all empires. If you look at the Roman Empire, it took 100 years for the Roman Empire in the West to die. And the Roman Empire in the East persisted another 300 years after that. So empires take a long time to fall. And one of the things that happens, it's clear enough from any reading of history, is that the people at the top are the last to realize that their empire is falling, is dying. For the people at the periphery, well, the roads just stop being, waterworks stop working, and a sense of neglect begins to overcome them. But for the people at the center in the metropolis with their reflecting pools and their golf courses and their Mar-a-Lagos and the rest, well, life goes on for them very happily, very pleasantly indeed, and a great deal of treasure is amassed by them. But it doesn't actually mean that the empire is not deeply sick and falling into a fatal coma.
Well, so I'm under the impression that like we complain a lot about here as an American how much we're struggling, but I always try to point to the fact that Europe and the average European, well, you guys aren't part of the EU anymore, of course, right? But I point to that whole region. The average even person who lives in the UK is struggling significantly more than an American, right? Like I feel like you guys have all the things that we have problems with, but then an extra added layer to where you don't have the reserve currency to really like stabilize what's going on over there, right?
Well, that's very well observed. We are in deeper trouble than you are, but you're headed in the same direction. Of that, there is no doubt. We lack a reserve currency. We deindustrialized ourselves for the American empire. And, I always make the point that, Jack Kennedy could probably have persuaded me to do something, maybe even Bill Clinton, but Joe Biden persuaded the Europeans to self-slaughter, to self-harm, to cut off their supply of totally reliable and absolutely cheap energy from Russia coming through the pipelines of the Nord Stream 2.
Yes.
And that's what European manufacturing was based on. That's what Germany, the powerhouse of the European continent, was based on. And now Germany is losing hundreds of thousands of jobs every month. And some of the most iconic brands, even Porsche is in deep trouble now. Volkswagen is in far deeper trouble. All these BASF, all the great industrial houses of post-war Germany are in very deep trouble. Many of them are unscrewing their factory from the floor and moving it to the United States. And the German working class, which was legendary, which was organized, trade unionized, well paid. You found them on holiday resorts in the summer, everywhere, getting up earlier than anyone else, pinching the towels, going down to the pool before everyone else. They were a legend. And now they are invisible in the scene, and not just by the swimming pools of the holiday resorts of Europe, but in German politics. You'll walk quite a distance before you meet German. It's almost as if the German people are disappearing from the stage.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I look at all of it. I look at NATO, especially look at Mark Rutte, who refers to Trump as daddy. And I think about the concept of, being over there in Europe and thinking about NATO, thinking about you're supposed to have some respect for yourself, right? Like you're a part of this organization, and America really does issue orders and commands. and tells both the military alliances and the countries what to do. And like you said, the official story is that, of course, the Ukrainians or Ukrainian terrorists blew up Nord Stream, but we know that was the American empire.
Right.
And then the fact that was acquiesced to, that has always shocked me. That has been like the number one thing for me.
George, I think you've got some internet connection issues. I think you're pausing a little bit.
Really love having him on.
Just tell me
Yeah,
what
your video quality got off from I guess from your signal. So sometimes it's like you cut out, but
yeah, there's only me and the wife. We're a mom and pop show. She's now scrambling around trying to see if there's anything we can do. Do you want me to respond to that point that was just made?
Sure.
I mean, I think the Ruta affair, again, will be emblematic. This was a psychosexual moment where Ruta was, I mean, almost bending over for daddy. And it seared into the consciousness of the European people who were already feeling humiliated, already feeling put upon, already feeling used. Ruta, it seems, prefers to be used, likes to be used. I've known conservative MPs that pay good money for an afternoon like that in the bordellos of South Kensington, but that's another matter. The truth is that the Europeans are sunk in a slough of despond. They have no hope for the future. Their economy is rapidly disintegrating under their feet, and they are led by fools who have record low opinion polls. You think Donald Trump is unpopular? You try being Merz, the Chancellor of Germany, who's on 13% approval ratings. 13, 1-3. Keir Starmer was on 1-3, and he had to go. And it might very well be that that Merz has to go. Macron is going. So you shouldn't confuse the braggadocio of these European leaders with the feelings of their people. Their people hate them. I mean, hate them with a vengeance, and rightly so, because they have been betrayed by their people. But we have an energy crisis. Not only the cutting off of the Nord Stream, but of course the Europeans had banned the importation of most Russian gas before the act of sabotage that Joe Biden commissioned and oversaw. But we now have the double whammy. We now have an energy crisis coming from the east, coming from the Persian Gulf. And so I mean, I always laugh at your gas prices, as you call them, because if we could have your gas prices, we'd be really happy. Because our gas prices, plus taxation, which is, of course, an arm and a leg, driving is now an absolute luxury in Europe.
How much is a gallon?
A liter.
I mean, a liter, but like, what would the calculation come out?
You'll be paying $15 very soon for a gallon of petrol in Europe. And people just can't afford that. Wages haven't risen in Britain in real terms since 2008, since the crash. We are worse off than we were in 2008, yet being asked to pay these energy prices that are rapidly becoming unpayable. If you look at household energy costs, I have a bigger house than most people, so keep that in mind. But my cost of heating my house through a very long cold winter have risen fourfold, 4 times what they were a couple of years ago. Now, I can only barely just afford that. People who are less fortunate simply can't afford it. So it's a common thing now, you know, when our people are out electioneering, that the householder comes to the door wearing their coat, sometimes wearing a coat and hat, because the house is so cold and they can't afford to heat it. Are you going to eat or are you going to heat? This is the dilemma faced by people. And then there's the increasing unemployment, and that employment that there is deeply insecure. You know all about this. In your country, it's 0 hours contracts. It's the gig economy and all the fancy words they have for what is a modern slavery. You know, I grew up in an era, as did your dad, Alex Jones. I grew up in an era where workers were well remunerated, where workers had a choice. They could leave a job and go into another one the next day, if not the same afternoon. That's not the case anymore. Trade unionized jobs, organized jobs, blue-collar jobs are like hen's teeth in their rarity. And I don't know anybody under the age of 40 who has the kind of job that my father used to have. A job that lasts for 30 years, where someone's representing you, getting you the best deal, and where you have a sense that you have a place in the society and it's not going to change, and it might even improve slightly. Maybe your sons, your daughters will have a slightly better lot than we did, but that at least there was a stability, there was a security. You weren't afraid to go out at night. You weren't afraid to let your children go play in the street, in the neighborhood, where one man's wage would keep a wife and children.
Yep.
And you would have a small car, and you would have a holiday, even if it was in a caravan, for even just a couple of weeks in a year. That was our life.
It's dignity.
In a very brief period.
It's dignity. It's having dignity. It's being able to live and have the human experience and being able to love, being able to afford to love.
Exact same experience that's happened here in the United States. And you know, the inflection point here in the United States started in the 1980s with what Reagan started to do, and the marrying of the government and the corporations and where that money was going, and less towards the productivity that the people were providing and more towards increasing the shareholder profits and those types of things. But George, my question for you would be, you look at the mess that's been created, how much do you ascribe it to the leadership? Because I know in the UK, you guys have replaced your prime minister, it seems like every year or every other year, versus the United States, which technically we have a lot of influence over the entire world. And we kind of have Europe on a leash to where it's like, hey, come here. We're going to do this. Even if it's not in your interest, we need you to pull for the team here. How much is it of incompetency from your governments versus the United States having that responsibility where we just kind of treat everybody like they're the redheaded stepchild?
Yeah, well, it's a shared culpability. And of course, the pathetic character of our leadership has a lot to do with it. Even in my own lifetime, even in the capitalist countries in Western Europe, they had leaders of substance. And when you compare the leaders they have now with them, you immediately see the decline personified in the leaders that they have. Germany had Willy Brandt, Helmut Kohl from the center-left, center-right. The French had François Mitterrand and Jacques Chirac from the center-left and the center-right. Britain had Margaret Thatcher from the right. And we had even Tony Blair, the hated Tony Blair, but who gave the impression that he knew what he was doing. He gave the impression that he had a handle on things. And as you rightly say, we're now on our 7th prime minister in 10 years. My father, God rest him, used to laugh at the Italians as people who changed their prime minister every year or every other year. Well, we are now the Italian job. We are changing our prime minister 7 in 1 decade. And each one has been worse than the last one. Yeah. So you can't separate that. But yes, fealty to the United States, vassalage to the United States, lies at the core of our problems. And the Nord Stream affair, the Russian gas affair, the whole Ukraine affair is emblematic of that, though it has been going for a very, very long time, this vassalage, and it's self-imposed. We left the European Union, Tim, as you just alluded, but we didn't leave the politics of the European Union. Leaving the European Union was necessary. I campaigned for it, but it was not sufficient. You had to actually then do something with the freedom that you then had after you Brexited. And we have done nothing. We are more Catholic than the Pope, more royal than the King. We are following Ursula von der Leyen more closely than any of the members of the European Union. So we had the chance to be a very different country. The Europeans have not got that chance because unelected bureaucrats, to call them bureaucrats is slightly misleading. They are effectively princes and princesses. It's like the Holy Roman Empire in the European Union now. Von der Leyen decides everything. And we have commissioners who set our foreign policy, set our industrial policy, financial policy. And of those, the greatest is the foreign policy, because we have been led into the status of enemy states, of countries that are doing well. And we have to affect to hate them. We have to affect to be readying ourselves for war against them. If we look at Russia, Russia has everything. Everything you could want. Russia has it under its own feet. We're supposed to hate it, make ourselves ready for war against it. In 28, 29, 30, who knows what the latest target date is. China, where the sun has risen on an economic miracle. We're supposed to hate it. We're supposed to consider it an enemy state. Well, this is just madness.
Yep.
The whole point of a new empire arising is try to get on with that new empire. Try to cuddle up close, get some of the warmth of that risen sun. But we've done the opposite, and all on the orders, not just of the United States, but the point I made earlier of Joe Biden. I mean, Shakespeare said, for Wales, for Joe Biden, you're taking orders from a drooling, driveling imbecile,
right?
Who can't, who shits himself in front of the Pope in the Vatican. Speaking of which, Donald Trump seems to have lost control somewhat.
Yeah, he lost control of the bowels.
In this regard too.
Yeah, he's not far behind. He's falling asleep on the stage too.
But this is the thing, George, that blows my mind is like these nations, our nation, your nation, these are nuclear powers. Like we have nuclear weapons. So the idea of the Russians are going to come roll in and take over Europe, they don't even want to take all of Ukraine. So I think this lie is sold to a lot of people as we have to have the existential threats. We have the existential reaction to the threat. What's your view on just the relationship between Europe and Russia and kind of that false dichotomy that's been created?
It is an entirely false dichotomy. And again, one which, for all my ancient wisdom, I don't really fully grasp, Russia is a white, European, Christian, capitalist country. Isn't that what these people are supposed to love? Isn't that what these people are supposed to be lamenting, that their own country no longer is these things? It's beyond me. It bamboozles me. Why do you hate Russia so? Beyond envy, I cannot see the reason. Putin tried hard, embarrassingly hard, cringe-makingly embarrassingly hard to fit in after the collapse of the Soviet Union, after the removal of the drunkard Yeltsin. Putin tried to join the European Union. He tried to join NATO. He proposed a common European home, a common European security architecture, the welcoming in of foreign capital, the selling off of Russian state enterprises at knockdown price, a cent on the dollar. And none of it was accepted. All of it was thrown back in his face. And then he warned at Munich, at the security conference at Munich in, I think, 2008 or 2007. He warned, he said, you are now encroaching on red lines for us.
Yep,
That
brightest of red lines.
existentially challenge us, and which you promised, which George Bush the first promised when we agreed to leave Germany and bring down the Berlin Wall. You promised you would not expand 1 inch to the east.
Exactly.
That was the phrase used by James Baker on behalf of the American presidency, written in James Baker's autobiography. Not 1 inch to the east. They are now thousands of kilometers to the east, and they are on all of Russia's borders. And Putin was forced to warn and warn and warn. Look, guys, this is getting serious for us. We cannot accept any more of this because it's an existential threat to us. You are clearly bent upon the balkanization of Russia, breaking it up, regime changing it, and destroying a Russia that has existed for hundreds of years. You know, I used to go in former times to the city of Odessa, now increasingly contested in this conflict. Not even Moscow is as Russian a city as Odessa is. Everybody in it is a Russian. Every building that survived the Second World War is a Russian. I may tell you that when it fell to the Nazis, there were 150,000 Jews in the city of Odessa. By the time of the liberation, there was just 4,000 Jews left alive in Odessa. This place is like a museum of Russianness, and it's in the hands of guys that are goose-stepping and Sieg Heiling and wearing SS regalia. Come on. The
This is
Russians
so
can
key.
never accept this.
This is so key because I play this clip all the time of the Justin Trudeau, Zelensky. They bring the Nazi to the Canadian Parliament and they put a medal on him and they give him multiple standing ovations because he fought the Russians during World War II. Now, you would think if you had middle school history class, you would understand the situation there. And it turns out he's a member of the Waffen SS. So your thoughts on that?
It's one of the funniest episodes of my whole life. And it's a bit like Trump signing that MOU at the Palace of Versailles. It demonstrates such monumental ignorance that's difficult to fathom. And in the Canadian case, it's worse because it was the entire Parliament, from the Speaker through the Prime Minister front bench, the opposition front bench, all the backbenchers. They were all up clapping like seals because a guy fought the Russians in the Second World War, meaning he was fighting for Hitler, meaning he was fighting against us.
Yep.
Our men died in their tens of thousands in the case of Canadians, fighting against this guy. And we're now giving him a standing ovation. It's astounding that the entire political class in Canada didn't resign in shame. Only Trudeau shuffled off the stage and into the arms of Katy Perry.
Well, I would say this, like most of politics it's not really like how intelligent you are. It's really about how charismatic you are and what connections you have to be able to get into positions of power. It's nothing merit based at all, right? And so when you make the calculation that these people probably have never gone into the history like the three of us have to really understand how these conflicts play out and what these situations.
They just want the job.
Yeah, they just want the job. They want the title. They want the badge and the ego to say, well, I'm somebody important, without realizing what that really means is that like now you are a representative of the country as a whole and you have a responsibility to carry out the willpower so that it's in our best interest.
Will of the people.
The will of the people. But I almost feel like I made the suggestion before. I'll say it again. I think it should be mandatory that before a politician gets into power, take a history class. Like, you got to go through all the history to understand the semantics of like what these conflicts
The
and how
modern
they
world.
exactly. So now we look at Russia and Ukraine and all of those things. I think these same problems come out in Iran, and they come out in the Middle East, and the same history of just pure incompetence.
We
is
can defeat
seen
the
here.
4,000-year-old Persian civilization. We're going to get them to overthrow their government by killing the Islamic Pope. Like that. That is another just episode of it. It's very sad and morbid, right? It's not funny at all. But us thinking about being able to win a conflict by killing basically the leader of 200 million Muslims. That's pretty insane, right, George?
It's even more insane to think that you're going to have it all done and dusted in 48 hours or by the end of the weekend, which is what he continued to claim. It's just that the weekend changed. The point that Tim made there was, of course, the key one, that we have a shrunken political class. Look, I was in the British Parliament across 5 decades, 7 times, 7 terms. So I'm here to tell you that most members of Parliament, and definitely most members of Congress, care, perhaps only, but definitely predominantly, about continuing to be a member of Parliament, a member of Congress. It's nice work if you can get it. It's well paid, and as the stock market speculators will tell you, it leaves you plenty of time and plenty of inside knowledge to make a very great deal of money on the side. As Nancy Pelosi can perhaps best testify. I mean, she went into Congress, an ordinary woman, and left practically a billionaire with stock trades better than Warren Buffett. The job is a clean one. Your shirt is clean when you get home. No heavy lifting. People call you sir, and you can always get a table in a restaurant and a taxi in a hurry. It's a good job, and that's what these people care about, the maintenance of, the continuation of.
Well, I want to hop on what you're saying
They're
there.
no longer judged. They're no longer judged by what they've done. When I entered Parliament, it was full, well, maybe not full, but there was 100 to 150 people of outstanding merit in the Parliament. People who'd been war heroes, people who'd built great companies, people who'd led great trade unions, people who had become local government leaders of authorities with millions of people in them, and had done so with merit. That's what the Parliament that I entered in the 1980s was like. The Parliament I left in 2024 was full of people, not even legends in their own households, their own street. People in their own street wouldn't know who they were. And when you inquired as to what they had done, well, they had worked for a member of Parliament before becoming a member of Parliament. And before they worked for one, they hung around in the tea rooms, hoping to become an aide to a member of Parliament, or they had been special advisors of one kind. So the political class is now a self-generating, self-reproducing political class of little merit and definitely no knowledge of history. Though I've got to say, it doesn't take a lot of historical knowledge to know that if you were fighting against the Russians in the 1939-45 war, you were fighting for Adolf Hitler, and I really shouldn't get up and give you a standing ovation.
Yeah. And then, just you don't get to talk to a lot of people that have been in the weeds and know the dark aspects. Can you talk a little bit about, in your experience, all of those years, there's got to be some crazy stuff that you've seen that you're like, I cannot believe, like the average person, if they were to go in and try to peer behind the curtains, it's either worse or things that you wouldn't expect. You can't even comprehend. What are those aspects to government? Because I really want to know, even selfishly for myself, like, is it really that bad? And the darkness or the evil, or is it just purely like everyone's in their own corner and it's just everyone's stupid and they don't know what's going on? Or is there a dark side happening here?
Well, I'll give you an example. I don't want to sound holier than thou, but I'm a lifelong teetotaler, so I've never tasted alcohol. But there are 19 bars, 19 in the British Parliament, and the prices are 1970s prices. We call them Life on Mars prices, after a television series we had of a guy that falls off a roof and ends up back in the 1970s. The 1970s prices are there still in the British Parliament, subsidized by the taxpayer. And I have never been in any one of those 19 bars, but I have oftentimes seen the saloon door swing open. And that was the heart of darkness in there. That was the Hades Inferno in there. You smell the crowd, you smell the alcohol, you hear the ruckus going on. And then these same people, when the bell rings, the division bell rings, literally stagger out of these bars, up the stairs unsteadily into the lobbies to vote for things that will change the lives of, I mean, if they had drug tests and alcohol tests in the British Parliament, I'd have been the only guy voting. The example I always give, there was a very austere Protestant, I'm a Roman Catholic, a very austere Protestant pastor called the Reverend Ian Paisley. And he and I were the only two people who opposed the introduction of the national lottery, where the state became the local bookmaker. Soon it'll be the local brothel owner, the local drug dealer, for if we legalize any of these things. But anyway, we legalized gambling with the introduction of the national lottery, and only two people opposed it, me and the Reverend Ian Paisley. And Paisley, with this Northern Ireland drawl, said to me, fancy that, only me and a little pape like you opposing the devil's buttermilk. And the devil's buttermilk is flowing. Milk, buttermilk and honey is flowing through the British Parliament. So I always say to foreign people who think otherwise, they still have a kind of James Bond image of Britain, that the people that rule Britain are not James Bond. They're more Mr. Bean, if you know him in America.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Even I've actually heard of similar stories here in Congress, like where you'll see guys who are like, who go to the bars and like they're getting drinks, and that's where you can overhear like some of like the office and dirty work talk about people. But like
I've been to Trump Tower in DC. I've seen some of the behavior. It's unconscionable, and these are supposed to be, you know, the greatest among us, right? These are supposed to be the leaders.
The adults in the room.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be the adults in the room. So so that part makes sense. So are there people that genuinely have any real interest in solving the problems of society?
Where's the positive?
Or is this really just an equation where it's just like no one really cares and it's every man for himself, and it's just like, how do I get to the next level?
It is every man for himself. A parliament, I'm sure Congress is the same, is the least collegiate workplace you will ever work in. Because every man is a one-man business, and it's a zero-sum game. If you have a success, if your speech goes down well, if you're featured on the front of the papers in a positive way, then I wasn't. And if you succeeded, I failed. So a lot of backstabbing goes on, especially within the same parties. Someone once said when he sat down for the first time in the British Parliament, which is adversarial, of course, we sit on opposite sides, unlike your hemisphere. The young man said, "Look at the enemy. They're so close to us." And his colleague said, "Over there is the opposition. The enemy is sitting all around us." And that's the mentality that infuses British parliamentary life. And so I was a lone wolf across 5 decades. Can you understand what that feels like?
That's frustrating.
Because I was a non-drinker and I was an opponent of virtually everything, certainly every war that the British Parliament took us into.
This reminds me of Massey a lot. It reminds me of Thomas Massey and the kind of situation within the Republican Party where you have this messaging that they run on. They know that's popular, America first, bringing jobs back to the country, stopping the wars. But then you get one person that's actually in the Congress that actually cares. He gets forced out by the same party that pretended to hold those values. In the UK, how is it sold to the voter? How do they say support labor, support reform, support XYZ? How is it sold to the voter when the voter really, I think, has to understand that change isn't really resulting from the election?
Yeah, I mean, the Thomas Massey comparison, I don't know Thomas Massey. Maybe I won't agree with him on several things. I agree with him on the biggest things. But I definitely feel for him. I feel I was that soldier, and for far longer than he did. I mean, the upside is the staff respect you, the police in the building respect you, the staff in the library respect you, the people that write down the speeches verbatim, they respect you, but the other members of the parliament hate you. And that's a long time to be amongst people who hate you. But the selling to the voters for most of my life was vote for me, I'm not the other guy. Vote for my party because I'm not his party. And you have been brought up to consider his party to be beyond the pale. So I'm the guy that's been rigged to be the candidate for the opposition. But that is no longer the case. So when I was born, Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister, and 97% of the British people voted for either Labour or Conservative. Now, way fewer than 50%, headed for 40% of the electorate vote for either Labour or Conservative. So my party, for example, got 250,000 votes in only 151 constituencies at the general election, despite a total blackout. We were not allowed on television, on radio. We did not have a single outing in the national media or were mentioned in a single opinion poll as a prompt. But we did fantastically well. If we had a proportional representation system in our country, which we might by the time of the next election, I'd be leading 30 to 40 members of parliament in the British House of Commons, and that would make quite a considerable difference. But what they do now is they basically subvert the smaller parties that now do get in, and reform that you refer to is a case in point. I campaigned with Nigel Farage for decades against the European Union, and daily during the Brexit referendum campaign. At that time, he was a total opponent of the Ukraine war. He was so strongly opposed to the Ukraine war, they accused him of being a Putin agent. And when he and I appeared on stage together, that was the formula. These are two Putin agents that are asking you to vote to Brexit. And then the people agreed with us. And then Farage got into Parliament. Now he's the biggest supporter that Zelensky has got in the British Parliament. They've even formed a Reform Friends of Israel so that they can join the club. So when George Carlin said it's a big club, you ain't in it, Farage wasn't in it, but he's in it now.
Wow.
How do you make the calculation to stay in that long? Like, especially if you're almost like a lone wolf going at the belly of the beast and the monster that the parliament is. Like, most people wouldn't be able to survive or take it that long. How do you deal with that emotionally? Because most people probably don't know your day-to-day experience of what that's like over several decades.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a discussion that you have with yourself and your colleagues. There are some who say I should have left over my expulsion from the Labour Party by Tony Blair over the Iraq War, and I should have left and led a crusade in the country to form a new force and so on, instead of trying to oppose my expulsion. I had been in the Labour Party for 36 years, and my mother and father were pillars of the Labour Party, and its iconography, its vocabulary were deep within me. Everything I had learned and knew
I understand
was from that background. So it is quite a wrench, but maybe I should have made a break myself rather than wait to be expelled. But Parliament is a big pulpit. When you say something in Parliament, this is certainly true before the rise of people like you and people like me in my mother of all talk shows. If you said something in Parliament, it would go 100 times farther than if you said it in a hall somewhere, in a town hall or on a street corner. Because if you said it there, you would be just basically frozen out. The newspapers wouldn't report you, the television wouldn't cover you. So being in Parliament and saying something gave you an audience that was vastly larger than you'd get any other way, and access to the world's best library, which is what I think the House of Commons library is, and access to, if you like, the inspiration of those that went before you. And it was kind of tailor-made for me because I'm a talker, as you're learning. I'm a man that can stand up and speak, and people listen. And Parliament's a good place for that. But now I speak to exponentially larger numbers of people outside of Parliament than I ever did, even in Parliament. And that's because, to the extent that we are free, and we're not entirely free by any means, the extent that we are free from big tech suppression, but we are certainly free from CBS, NBC, CNN. We're free from the BBC and Sky News. We don't need them anymore. We're bigger than them, much, much bigger than them. And so this is a very key change. And so I'm now doing the best thing, which is broadcasting twice a week on my own show, and to choice outlets like yours when we can make it happen.
Yes, this is everything. It's the digital public square. And that's the transformation of this world, where it really is. The phone is a double-edged sword. Sure, things are being more digitized. Sure, we're kind of being put into this online prison, but also everyone can film everything. Everyone can see everything. Everyone can talk to each other. And you're reaching conservatively millions, if not tens of millions of people a week. I see your show everywhere. The call-ins are so passionate because people actually, we do call-ins too, when they have a voice and they're able to speak and millions of people are able to hear them. I think it's really reassuring for people to know that we're not alone. And I think they try to create this panopticon as to where we're all separated, but we all live on the planet together. We all have families. We all care about life. And I think people are uniting on that basis.
Yeah, you can see the cracks in the armor that the system has created all of these years. And where the ball is rolling down is that like mainstream media trust is almost eroded completely. People are starting to question. The younger generations don't even watch like Fox and CNN, and those guys have to compete with us on these platforms now because no one's buying cable news,
And they lose,
right?
They lose bad.
They lose bad. So at the end of the day, it's getting harder to control the frustrations of the average American, the average person in the UK, the average European. All of these things culminate to this one movement where I think everybody wants the same things at the end of the day. You want to just be in a happy situation where you can provide for your family, that you have the friends around you that you love, to be able to just afford to just have the basic needs and necessities.
Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
That's promised.
Yes, that'll do it. That's a triptych I can get behind. If only they meant it.
Indeed.
Right. So at the end of the day, we're so privileged to have you on the show today. I'm glad that you reached back out and that we were able to do this. Your experience and your breadth of work is so extensive. Like, this was definitely one of my best interviews that we've ever done so far.
Yeah, we've learned so much from you, George. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of your show, and it really is about showing the people that it's possible. We always tell anybody, you can be a broadcaster, you can be a journalist, you can be a reporter, you can be a man on the street. And when everyone has that collective consciousness of like, hey, we're all involved in this world. It's our world. It's not their world. It doesn't belong to them.
Right.
Because these people that are billionaires, these people that are establishment politicians, these people that are warmongers that think it's okay to blow up a little girl's school, they're not like the vast majority of us.
Right.
And I think we all need to unite together on that basis.
That's right. They're freaks. Well, yes. I've loved it, lads. And thanks for the opportunity. My son, my 18-year-old son, I've got 5 young children by the grace of God. The youngest is 6, but my 18-year-old son is a very big fan of your show. So thanks very much for the opportunity.
Really?
And please give your dad my regards.
I will.
Where can people find you? That way they can go and watch your show, because you're on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I'm on all social media. I was one of the first actually in the parliamentary game to get involved with social media. I'm pretty big on Instagram and on Facebook and on X and on YouTube, of course. So please subscribe to my channel. Follow me on these social media platforms. And I'm optimistic that by the time my children are grown, we'll live in a better world, as long as we can make sure we've still got a world for them to inherit. That's why stopping World War III is my overwhelming, in fact, my only priority now.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, George.
Thanks, George. We appreciate you. We'll definitely have you back on the show.
Wow. What a great honor that was. To hear that one of his children watches the show.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, right? Because
Yeah.
you think about it, we're just in the room, we're doing what we do, doing our broadcasting, but there are people listening. And I think it's because we're all kind of saying the same thing. We want to be free.
Right.
We don't want to live in this panopticon anymore, this controlled slave grid anymore. We want to be free wherever we are in the world.
Yeah. And dude, your dad and all of these guys who, like, even George, like these, like, I call these guys like the elite S tier guys, all have the same vision. They just don't want to see the corruption anymore, and they want to actually wake people up. And that's honestly why I'm so glad I took the leap of faith that I did for us to do this, man.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So it's like,
bro.
Guys, this is the name of the game. We love doing this. Genuinely, there's no other agenda than just to give you guys the best amount of information possible and just to expose you to different ideas. You know, we may not even agree with everything that George has to say, but it's
stopping World War III.
Exactly.
It's about having life. It's about, ultimately, we can have things that we disagree at the dinner table or whatever, but you can't really disagree on killing everybody versus not. Like, we don't want to kill everybody. We want everyone to live in peace.
Right.
What a radical idea.
Now, if this is your first time watching, because I'm sure some people have came in from George's side as he's reposted this. This is like a combination of what we do of the gray area, as you can see, but then also New American Journal.
It's a network.
It's a network.
It's a network. So we got a daily morning show, and every Tuesday, me and Tim are here doing that, and that's Gray Area X New American Journal. New American Journal is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., 11 a.m. Gray Area Talks, the Marquee Show. That's Thursday and Sunday. And that's usually 7:30 to like 9 or 10:30.
Yep.
Sometimes it varies a little.
Varies. And we do all types of topics, but like Sundays is like the special show out of the entire week in which we have a phenomenal guest. We have all the breaking news. And then I do what's called a deep dive, where I go into topics where like you just probably either have known about but didn't really know the specifics, or things that you haven't heard about. And I talk about context. I talk about where the corruption is going. I show you the paper trail of the money of where that corruption is going. And there's all different types of topics that I cover. And they're led by you guys too, by the way. So when you make suggestions, I actually look at those things and I look into it. I'm like, okay, this would be good enough for enough people to really gain something.
We have to have the context, right? It's like if you want the AI to get better at doing something, you have to give it more context. If you want your NI, or like your natural intelligence to work, you have to feed it more information. And the thing about the deep dive, a lot of the time I'm like, oh, I know this topic. And then Tim, you'll break something down and be like, I had no idea about that. And that's so key for the audience to understand. Like, we know that we know nothing, like Socrates, right? Like we're not trying to come, oh, we're the experts. No, but we're being real and we're actually curious. We want to find the truth. It's so cool to hear the origin of the language that you and me both speak, because our English is a derivative. He sounds different, doesn't he?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And what I would encourage you guys to do, if you found any value in today's show and you are a new listener, just go into the profile of Rex right now, and there's Gray Area Talks right there.
He's also up there.
I'm also up there. I think we're almost at 5K now, and I think we just need like 20 more people to subscribe to that. That makes a very big impact, because people, unfortunately, this is how we're able to do this. That's how we're able to get these guests. Because when I reach out, I'm like, hey, we're doing this show. They check you out, and it's your support that allows us to do that, because they take us more serious. The legitimacy comes in. So if you really want to come along for this journey, because this show is, we haven't even hit a year yet, man.
No, we're coming up on that though. We got to look at the first day of the broadcast. We're almost at a year.
I think September or October would have been our first broadcast.
Wow. So in under a year, we've been able to have all these phenomenal guests on, been able to do these phenomenal shows. I mean, it was wonderful. Me and you were hosting American Journal over on the old network. And there's been a lot of events that have happened purely because the audience has been willing to support us and give us that chance. And I think really for you, Tim, like for me, it's like coming back and doing something that I didn't do for a very long time. So there's kind of like getting used to it again, but it's very natural. I'm very impressed with you as a broadcaster, really as an interviewer as well. I think that's really our best. Like if you look like a circle chart and it's got like different aspects. You ever see like one of those where they pointed out? I think our interviews are our best aspect of the show, beyond even the deep dive, because when we ask people these, we had a very unique conversation with him.
Yes.
You know, we talk, a lot of people have him on. It's like, talk about the war. We talked about like political history,
going through his experience.
Yeah, dude.
Those are the intimate conversations that people want to know.
You're not going to hear that anywhere else.
Right. So we still have a packed week, by the way.
Oh,
on Thursday, we've got Michael Tracy coming on.
Ooh.
Okay. And then on Sunday,
I mean, I've got, while you look for that, on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing another debate. I'm going to be doing deportations versus amnesty. I'm taking the deportation position. I'll be debating Owlish on a word war debate.
Okay.
Trying to get
Okay.
Nashville.
Sunday, we've got Chris Burnett on. He's
leading independent
he's
journalist.
An independent journalist. He's excellent. So Michael Tracy, Chris Burnett. It's going to be on Gray Area. It's going to be streaming at 7:30. You guys join us on Thursday night and Sunday. Like I said, just if you do one thing today, just subscribe to Gray Area, subscribe to American Journal, all of these different things. It really does help, but really help us get this Gray Area Talks to the 5K mark. We're so close, guys. We appreciate you guys. If you found any value, that's all I ask for you guys today. You don't even have to follow me, but if you do, I do respond to DMs.
Tim.
I do respond to DMs. So if you do follow me, I am paying attention. So thank you guys. Go watch AJN now. That's where
my dad is about to be live. We'll see you guys later.
You said unfollowed.